Don't look under the internet.
Anyway.
You could be the one who... Damn it, Doug.
I know, dude. It's been literally stuck in my head all day.
Hello, everyone. This is your daily dose of internet.
Wow. Best opening ever.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Don't Look Under the Internet.
Woo!
We're a podcast where you, Jason,
Hello. What is happening?
Doug,
Yo.
Matt,
What it is.
Tom DeLong.
Are you coming back?
I'm back, baby. Yeah, welcome to Don't Look Under the Internet. We're internet horror comedy.
I mean, I can't be
podcast.
mad, I guess.
Communist podcast.
Communist podcast.
We are a communist podcast.
Yeah, no, we're all here hanging out, having a good time. I'm on one. It feels great.
I'm on one today, too.
Hell yeah, man.
we all are.
We're all on
I was
one.
on one when I was writing my notes, so have fun with
Yeah.
that.
I'm so excited for that.
Same.
I just want to start this off with a good old-fashioned DLUTI
Clap
housekeeping.
above your head.
So here's the thing.
Jesus Christ.
Here's the other thing. We have one whole
things.
patron, which is fine. Money me now. Patreon.com/DLUTI.
We've literally released like nothing that we said we were going to for like the last
know.
2 months on
It's
Patreon,
my
and people are
fault.
still paying us. So
Yeah.
I think
honestly,
we should count our blessings.
I think we
Yeah.
should too, yeah.
you people are saints. Honestly, blame me for the lack of content because I have not been there because I can't be there. But I'm gonna try. I have an idea, and it might work.
It's just got to make it out of his mouth.
I just have to make it out of my mouth. But we do have one new patron. It is Ghoulvix. So what do you guys think? Good name, bad name?
Ghoulvix?
Ghoulvix. I think it's kind of
Ghoul.
badass.
I like that name.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool name.
Little fucking ghoulie.
Oh, ghoulie.
Little fucking ghoulie running around.
But thank
little
you,
green ghouls.
Ghoulvix. That was super nice of you.
Ghoulie.
If you want to be as cool as Ghoulvix this week and get shouted out, you can go to patreon.com/DLUTIPod where we will shout you out. You could chuck in something or you could chuck in nothing. But if you chuck in nothing, Patreon's just going to kick you off the
Just
website.
gonna kick you in the balls.
Yeah, that too.
That's all you're gonna get.
Yeah. Boys.
Girls.
Girls.
Boys, dudes.
Girls.
What are we doing here?
This is a podcast. We show up every Tuesday.
Oh, it's part 2.
Internet horror comedy podcast.
Communist podcast. Yes.
Right, it's the same picture.
Yes. We're on a part 2 today. Isn't that fun?
Woo!
We have more.
Don't hug me, I'm scared. Part 2.
You can kiss me. I'm brave. That's the sequel. Name this one that.
I think
Don't
it's
hug me,
just
I'm
Dutch-
scared. Don't hug me, I'm scared. Part 2. Kiss me, I'm brave.
Dutch
Colon.
oven me, I'm strong.
Don't
I don't
forget
know if
the
brave
hyphen.
and scared are really antonyms.
What would be
'Cause
the opposite of scared then?
Not
Um,
scared.
Happy?
Happy.
Content?
Yeah.
Well, isn't the opposite happy
Um,
sad? So we start this episode.
Well,
this
I
is-
mean, all I'm saying is the original series isn't called "Don't Hug Me, I'm
Yeah.
a Giant Pussy."
you know what?
I'd watch that too.
I mean, yeah.
That's the Pornhub version.
Okay.
You'll find that on there.
No,
The
it's not.
Muppets, much sexier, bigger mouths.
way happier.
Yeah, this is part 2 of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. First, we covered the web series. Now we're covering the TV show, which many people probably didn't even realize existed.
Yeah.
If
It's
you're
not in this country.
Yeah,
In the
it-
US of A.
if you're not from across the pole, mate, you're not gonna fucking. You ain't gonna know
Gringo.
about, bruv. Gringo.
Aye, bruv.
We got a
Got done
TV
watching. Got done
Gringo.
watching the Don't Hug Me, I'm
I,
Scared, Gringo.
I'm too slap happy to deal with this. I'm just going to be laughing the whole fucking time.
Yeah, it's a TV show that came out, I think, 2020? 2021?
22.
22 was it?
22, yeah.
I was gonna get there
Last year.
eventually. We're running out of years. Came out in 2022. It's a couple episodes long. I think
Seven total.
total.
7 is a couple?
Yeah. But
It's six
Words
episodes.
mean things, Mike.
yes, but
Six episodes.
6 episodes plus mine.
Plus the pilot.
That's not the pilot for this series,
No.
though.
I'm getting
You know
there.
what?
Hush,
You're right.
child.
I'll
Shush
shut
up. Shush your lips.
Do your fucking research.
Do
your
the Helen
Helen
Keller and talk with your
Talk with
hips.
But yeah, so I'm gonna start off this episode with a Lost episode, the first initial quote unquote.
That's the
Lost.
wrong TV series.
It's not even the same thing.
I
That
need
ended so long ago.
I need to throw something.
Are they
at
going
him.
back to the island again?
Again? Are there 2 polar bears this time or 1?
Yeah, that was always weird. Why did they bring a?
There was a horse too. I don't know, man. We're not
There's
talking
a
about
smoke
Lost
monster. You're right.
We should, though.
We should.
We
Don't
absolutely
Lost
should.
under the internet.
Lost the internet.
But so we start all this off with a quote unquote Lost episode of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. Now, the creators have gone out to say that this is not part of the TV show, but in fact, this is basically a one-off episode that took place during a Sundance film festival. It's very hard to find it. It's not really online. I found it through the Internet Archives, and it was actually uploaded to the Internet Archives website by one of the creators, Becky Sloan herself. So you can find it on there. It's very low quality. It's missing some parts, but they filled in the gaps for you. But here we go. So we start off. The last episode is called Wakey Wakey. That might sound familiar. Basically, it starts off kind of like how started off how Moots did last.
I'm sorry, man. Like, I can't.
This would be very confusing for anyone not watching on YouTube.
Yeah, for sure.
Very much so.
Happy Pride Month,
Insert
y'all.
physical humor here.
But but anyway, so it starts off. It's called Wakey Wakey, and it starts off the same exact way as Moot's episode did on last episode. The Moot's episode that was like 2.5-ish minutes long is actually the first 2 minutes of this one. You get it's Yellow Guy's birthday. He's turning 38, so that's fun. They're going singing to everybody. That one old lady's like, I make pie and don't eat that. And they go to the mayor's house, Mr. Pigface, and they're like, whoa, what happened to him? That's where Moots ended. Mine picks up where we actually find out what the fuck happened to the mayor. He's gone missing. Yeah, crazy. So the mayor goes missing and they have no idea where he went. The bird guy is like, oh, maybe he's like investigating the mayor's house and he finds his key.
Real
and he's
quick,
like, oh,
real quick. Duck guy.
bird guy. And he's like, oh, maybe now I can finally touch the mayor's prized bowling ball. Ah, and he's getting like super erotic about it, which is kind of cool.
Are you sure you didn't watch Salad Fingers?
No, not yet.
Oh, he's talking about Burga.
Yeah.
Harvey's brother Hurley.
Bird guy. Attorney at divorce law or something.
So he finds he finds this key. It looks like this old like dungeon-y key in the mayor's house, and he takes it. And they're all kind of just chilling back at their house. They have a house, which is nice. And they're chilling there, and then the key just pops up randomly and starts singing to them about why they need to lock up their town and lock up their house. He's very much like, hey, there's a stranger over there. No one knows who that could be. They could be dangerous. We should protect ourselves. We need security. We need cameras. Basically pulling a whole fucking NSA on our three compadres here.
In Clay Hill.
Yes, in Clay Hill. Meanwhile, while all this is going on, Red Guy's like, I think we should go look for the mayor because the mayor is missing. And so it's this funny little bit where they like later on I'll get to it, but it's this whole little funny bit. But
A little silly
key-
little bit.
yeah, the key starts singing his song again, and the animation is this like old rubber hose animation, and the song and the animation slaps. I'm not gonna fucking lie to you. The key seems very uninterested in finding the mayor. Does not give an ass shit. And it's to the point where they're at the gates of Claytown. They're at the gates of Claytown.
I thought you were about to say clown college.
That's exactly what I thought.
They're at the gates
is
of
this
clown
episode?
college.
I know. They're at the gates of Clown. They're at the gates of Claytown, which is the town that they're in.
Clay Hill.
Clay Hill, whatever, Clay Hill. And Red Guy's like, no, I think the mayor's outside of the gate. I think he's in the woods. And everyone's like, no, we don't know where he's at. And the Red Guy's like, no, there's footprints. Look. And they're like, they could be anyone's. And they're like, look, this says mayor. And it's a footprint that just says mayor on it. It's just leading out of the fucking town. And no one cares. Everyone's singing along with the key about like safety and security. And so Red Guy's like, all right, I don't care. I'm going to go find the fucking mayor. And so it's this time that everyone's like, oh, Birdman, like, you should be the mayor. And Birdman's like, I will be the mayor. And he does
He's
a pretty...
upgraded from bird guy to bird man.
Bird mayor, politician
It's
at law.
still Duck Guy. Just so
Just in
you
case
were aware.
anybody
Mayor
is
Duck
confused
Guy.
here.
Case that
So
mattered.
Duck Guy actually does a pretty decent job at being a mayor. He gets a bunch of stuff done. He's making sure like taxes are good and the citizens are all taken care of. And then at one point,
Oh,
anyway, so you guys do that. I'm gonna keep going. So
yeah, you do that. That thing you're supposed
Birdman,
to be doing.
very good mayor. That's where he's at. And my favorite part of this episode is Birdman's like, maybe now that I'm mayor, I can finally touch the mayor's prized bowling ball. And then you see his erection pop out from from him thinking of the bowling ball. It pops out of his pants and he says, no, Morgan, go home. And it sucks back into his tummy. He names his erection Morgan. So all the while this is happening, Squash Man, Yellow Man, he's really just wanting to celebrate
Yellow
his
guy.
birthday. Yeah, he just wants to
Yellow
celebrate
guy.
his birthday.
It's Yellow
He has
guy.
his present and he's
Yellow
like,
guy.
I want to open my present. And the key just knocks the fucking present out of his hand. He's like, oh, security alert, whaps it down into a pool of acid. And if this isn't a metaphor for like the NSA or like security over like, privacy or whatever it's called, like,
Yeah.
I don't know what fucking it is.
Well, when your luggage goes through that little door,
At the
like it
TSA.
separates into two areas, and one side just goes into a pool of acid,
Yeah,
and the other side goes onto the plane.
Yeah.
that's very true.
It's a miracle that I've gotten my luggage every single time, but
So
Where they put all the toothpaste.
yeah.
So basically, according to this key, it's safety at all costs. Like, you got to keep yourself safe no matter what. So now we cut over to Red Guy, and he's looking for the mayor in the woods. And he's like, Mayor Pigface, where are you? It's me, Paul McCartney. So he's looking for Mayor Pigface, and he stumbles across a pile of dirt that claims that it's a tree. The pile of dirt gives him a little song, and then the Red Guy's like, can you just tell me where the fucking the mayor is? And he's like, yeah, he's fucking over there somewhere. So then we cut back to Yellow Guy, and he's super upset that the key melted his present. And he's like walking down the street, and he walks up to this alleyway, and he comes across this like radical, like anarchist punk, like water bottle. and
Okay.
like it's like it's all like fight the man, fuck the new neighbor, the new mayor sucks. Like
The
we
new
got
neighbors.
new neighbors
Fuck
suck.
the new neighbors.
The new mayor sucks. We gotta anarchy our way out of here. We gotta break down the system. And Yellow Guy's just like, yeah, I wanna be like that guy. He's super cool. And it's the exact same as like when you're like a 7-year-old at the skate park and you see that 13-year-old skating and he's like, I'm cool. Look at me. I stole cigarettes from my dad. And you're like, I want to be like that guy. That is what's going on here. So Yellow Guy is like, I want to be a punk just like you. And the punk basically peddles drugs onto the Yellow Guy. But instead, it's not drugs. It's something called fizzy milk. And it's boiled beef flavor. And he's like, go on, drink it. It'll make you cool. And so he drinks the milk and he turns full punk. He gets like the Liberty spikes. He gets like the battle vest. He basically turns into you from like 6 years ago.
Sounds about right.
And he goes in like graffitis, like a picture of the bird guy as mayor, and the anarchist like water bottles like, don't do that. That's like vandalism. That's not cool. We don't do that. And he's like, but we're anarchists. That's what we do. And the water bottle's like, no, but like not like that. That's just rude.
In true punk fashion.
Yeah. So we cut back to Red Guy who stumbles across the mayor in the woods, and the mayor's singing about all the wonders that is like simple outdoor living. And he mentions how all the bugs and all the critters are out there, and they're all cute and cuddly, and they're eating his skin and his teeth and other parts of his body. It's a very fun time for everybody.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Everyone.
Yeah. Birdman, Duck Guy, then installs security systems all over the town and in people's homes so they can be safe at all fucking times.
Can I just interrupt you? This man wrote Bird Guy in his notes.
Yep.
That's why he's confused.
Bird Guy. This system that Bird Guy sets up in everyone's houses is basically a drill that drills into the town folks' heads and implants the Bird Guy's thoughts into them. Just constant security measures, blah, 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 blah. We flash back over to the Red Guy and the mayor, and Red Guy's like, oh, mayor, you got to come back to us. It's getting really shitty over in the city, and this weird key is like bad news. And the mayor's like, oh, no, that's not the key to the city. And he pulls out this little like golden key out of his pocket, and he's like, this is the key to the city. That other key is bad news. And so they make their way, Red Guy and mayor, which is not a buddy cop sitcom, I've just been told. Red Guy and mayor, they're doing things. So they make their way back to the city, and it's too late. It's basically like a high security prison. And they're like, oh, we got to make our way to Bird Guy and basically dethrone him as being the fucking guy in charge. And Yellow Guy has already made his way over to Birdman. And he wants to just fuck with the man. He's like, fuck you, you suck, anarchy all the way. And on his way up to Birdman, his little punk water bottle friend tries to stop him. But Spaghetti Squash Man pushes his little punk compadre into a security system, which is connected to Bird Guy. And this causes this like short circuit, and all the security systems just explode. And then it goes to black, and then we fade in, exterior, house. We're back at the house that we started in. And Bird Guy wakes up. He's like, oh, what happened? And he wakes up and he apologizes for everything. And the whole town is there because they're celebrating Yellow Guy's birthday. And now he's turning 48 and not 38 because he just aged 10 years apparently. And everyone got him some fizzy milk for his birthday. And
Drugs.
that's so nice.
Yay, drugs.
Yeah.
I wish
and
I
they,
got drugs for my birthday.
I know, right?
and they all go on about their favorite flavors of fizzy milk. And then Bird Guy just watches as like this empty bottle of fizzy milk just like rolls off the TV. And he watches it just fall and shatter onto the floor. And he's like, you can see like he's very anxious and stressed out about the situation that's going to happen. And as it shatters, it just cuts to black. And that's the episode. It's 16 minutes long. You can't really find a good quality one, but you know what? It's entertaining. Because you see a duck's erection.
That's
is
the only
true.
reason.
That's the selling point.
That is
I don't know
a
why that is, but
solid.
that's the trailer.
Yeah, right.
Nice cock.
Why wasn't that the thing everybody saw to advertise for this?
Is that a liquid death moot?
No, it's not. It's a natty light.
Hell yeah.
What are we
shit.
drinking? What are we thinking? There's a bottle here and it's empty.
Yeah. I'm drinking another Culver's cup because Culver's is my Tuesday ritual now. It's definitely not filled with a whiskey or two.
No, maybe not.
I got the knob this time. The knobbing creek.
Creaky knob.
Nice knob, Doug.
You said you had natty light, natty iced?
I got natty light and the rest of my creek water from last week.
Ooh, very nice.
I'll put my knob in your creek water.
That's natty.
Anyway, here's to you.
I am drinking blood of the
Oh,
unicorn.
you got that.
Yeah, look at this. Isn't that fun?
Unicorn cum?
Unicum.
Anyway, so
Blood of the corn.
as is
Cum
tradition,
corn.
a toast to the toast. Here's to you, and here's to be it. If you ever disagree, then fuck you, and here's to me. Clinkety clink. If you hear the clink, drink. Boop.
Cheers, buddy.
Oats make goats.
Mine's 50%, so I'm gonna
Ooh.
play it cool on
Oh,
the
yeah.
shots.
That's episode 1 of it's the lost episode. It's technically
the
not
pilot.
episode 1. It's the pilot.
Yeah, it's the pilot.
What is the real episode 1?
The real episode 1 is it's called Jobs.
Steve.
It's called Steve. Yep.
Sorry, wrong podcast.
No, so yeah, this
Attack! The Empire has taken over the Trade Federation.
God damn it. They have an embargo on the trade trade systems of Naboo. Yeah, instead of going through that, how about we talk about jobs? Do you guys want to talk about your jobs?
No.
No.
Continue.
All right, well, let's talk about our jobs. So Jobs is technically episode 1, but it's second in the series. It's 23 minutes long, a little bit more than that. And this one, I mean, just like most of these, starts with our 3 favorite characters: Duck Guy, Yellow Guy, and Red Guy.
Remember those words?
Yep. They're all sitting around their kitchen table, and Red Guy pipes up, says, "What are we supposed to be doing today?" And they all kind of talk about it, and Duck Guy is like, "We have to be doing something." And Red Guy goes, "Well, I'll check the schedule." He pulls it out, and literally they wrote down nothing for every time slot that's available. So apparently they're supposed to be doing nothing today.
Scheduled.
It's scheduled, right. And so Duck Guy literally demands to know what is meant to be done today. He like pounds the table and he's just like, "I demand to know what's to be done today." And Red Guy literally goes, he's like, "I mean, it says nothing. And honestly, I'd rather do nothing." And so they keep talking about it, and Duck Guy's getting way, way more just like anxiety ridden because he's like, "No, we have to be doing something."
That guy's a dick.
Duck Guy? Yeah, he's
yeah, the TV series really cements that.
Oh
Yeah,
God, yeah,
100%.
especially in this one. So after they're bickering back and forth, and all of a sudden, a briefcase comes to life and begins screaming and yelling about, just asking questions. "How's everybody doing? This, that, and the other. Oh, I've got to get going.
Be late for my
I'll
job.
be late for my job." And like he conjures breakfast out of nothing and then pours it inside his head.
I love the way that they do that shot where it's just like his arms going into the plate, but he's just like,
He's just like smacking shit around. Half of it falls off. Then he picks up the whole plate and opens his head and just pours it in.
Does he make an entire like a 10-person family's worth of breakfast only to grab a piece of toast off the plate and run out the door?
no, he makes
No.
an entire breakfast and then puts it all in his head.
Into his head.
So he's
In-
not an anime pro tag.
No, not at all. He's a briefcase
Unlike us.
that is pouring breakfast into his head.
Can
so-
someone draw us as anime protagonists? That'd be so funny.
Ooh, that's a really good idea. I would love to see that.
Please
Do
and
it.
thank you.
You know what to do.
But yeah, so after he pours his breakfast, after he pours his breakfast into his head, he exclaims, "There are a million things to do today. I have to get to my job. I'm so busy." And this piques Duck Guy's attention. He's like, "A million things to do?" And Red Guy's just like, "Motherfucker, are you kidding me?"
I like how that it's when he says that he's like a million things to do, and it's just like a cup, an apple, and a hammer show up in his thought bubble.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's definitely nonsense for sure. So this briefcase comes to life and he's about to head out the door. He goes, "Oh, wait, I forgot my briefcase." And he like pulls it up. And this is where the yellow guy looks at him and goes, "Oh, this is one of those guys that has one of himself."
Yeah.
Like that means something to anybody. And they're all like, "Oh yeah."
Of course.
Oh, he's one of those guys.
He's
don't
one of
have-
those guys.
You don't have a mini version of you that you use as a
I
suitcase.
am not one of those guys that has one of myself. No, no, I am not. So they start saying like, "Well, wait, what's a job? Why do you have a million things to do? That sounds like a lot of work." And the briefcase explains, "Well, it doesn't have to be a lot of work if you enjoy what you do." And if anybody has seen anything from Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared in the past, you know that this is just a setup for a song. And a song it is. Before we get there, the last thing that happens is Yellow Guy pipes up and he goes, "Well, I already have a job." He's like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, it's on my shoulder."
Oh yeah.
And they're like, "That's just a cyst." And it goes back to Yellow Guy and he like looks down at his shoulder and goes, "Is that true?" And it like close-ups to the cyst and it's got eyes and it just like growls and like oozes. It's just like,
It literally goes, yes.
yeah. So after this happens, the song starts off, and this briefcase is telling us all about the wonders of jobs. How you could be the one who does something. What was it?
You can be the guy who types
hey,
really
Doug.
fast on the keyboard.
Hey Doug, do we want to ruin everybody's week real quick?
Yeah, we can.
All right, cool. I would love that. Let me just turn up this this guy here.
You could be the guy who types so fast on computer. Clackety 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 clack. Or you could be the one who kicks so hard at a football. It's a goal. Or you could be the one who bangs the hammer when he's angry. Order. Or you could be the one who makes people better when...
Yeah, that's enough of that. You get the fucking gist.
You can be the one that
Types really fast on the keyboard.
Clickety clackety clickety clack.
you can be the one that denies people their parole.
So after this song starts playing, you're seeing all the different characters, usually individually in different settings relating to what the briefcase is talking about, but eventually he says something to the effect of, you could be the workers at the workplace, or like whatever he says. And when he does that, they show up in this factory, and there's just like an assembly line, and there's a bunch of like wrenches and nuts and bolts, and the briefcase like runs off to the side.
Like goes into a closet.
He goes into like one of the
Yeah.
utility closets that's there, and so they follow him because they're like, "You brought us here, man! Like, what the fuck?" And they open the door. He's just fucking gone. And so now they're just in this warehouse, and oh yeah, I'm sorry. One of the weirder things with the song is one of the desires that Duck Guy has. And it's all like that, except Duck Guy says he wants to design a digital car seat based on respect.
No, digital currency.
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 on
See, I heard car seat every single time.
It's like
And it
me
made no
you're
fucking
addicted
sense.
to dancing.
We're doing great, guys. But yeah, so the song kind of cuts short and it fades out, and then they're just standing in this warehouse. So they start getting the lay of the land. Duck Guy goes, and he's basically just making fun of everything. Red Guy picks up a megaphone on the wall and starts announcing, like, "Hey, like, we need to get home. Like, how do we leave? What are we doing here?" And Duck Guy's like, "No, you have to be more authoritative. You have to get them to respect you, and you do that by being firm." And he takes the megaphone and he starts saying, like, "You need to help us get out of here." Blah, 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 blah. And as soon as he starts talking, all the wrenches and nuts and bolts just go back to work and just ignore the shit out of him. And he's just like, "What the? Why didn't they hear me?"
He didn't say respect my authority.
He did not say that. While this is going on, Red Guy starts to hear a phone ringing from like an office, and he's like, "Is somebody gonna fucking answer the phone?" And eventually he walks in there. Yellow Guy he's in heaven. Like, he loves this place. He falls right into being friends with everybody. This is like the perfect environment for Yellow Guy. It's just busy work that he seems happy with, and really that's all he needs. But Duck Guy is like, he's on a warpath. He hates that nobody's respecting him, and eventually he starts watching this training video about how to be a part of the team. And one of the things they say in the training video that I absolutely love is that they go, "Of course, no place likes accidents. However, every once in a while we have to have one to basically make everyone realize how great it is to not have accidents." It's just like, what the fuck? And so Duck Guy goes and he talks to
I think
Red
it's a
Guy.
9/11.
You need a 9/11 every couple 20, 30 years to know that you don't want a 9/11.
Right. Otherwise,
Guy
you
did
forgetty.
9/11.
Duck Guy hey, there's a shirt right there.
Duck Guy did 9/11.
So Duck Guy, he's not happy with any of the training he's receiving. So he walks into the boss's office, and when he gets there, he sees Red Guy, who's like talking on the phone and stuff. And so right before this, I didn't really want to go over a lot of what was happening with Red Guy, because like it's just a fucking lot. There's like 30 things that happen in 30 seconds. And so just know that Red Guy walked into the office, started talking to a fax machine, and now he's the boss. he just works there. I didn't really understand it, but I think you have to like suspend logic to kind of understand any of this shit. So Red Guy starts working there. Yellow Guy has fallen in with the workforce out on the floor, so he's essentially an employee, even if he's not getting paid. So Duck Guy walks in and starts complaining to Red Guy about how this is bullshit, this, that, and the other. And he goes, it's not that hard to pick up a phone. Watch, I can do it. And he goes over to the fax machine and it won't pick up. So he rips it off the desk and like puts it on the floor. And the garbage can, the fax machine, they all start screaming at Red Guy to do it. And so Red Guy fires Duck Guy and sends him. And immediately when he fires him, elevator doors close around him. I just got done playing through Danganronpa. It was very Danganronpa. Elevator doors just close around Duck Guy, and then some voice starts talking to him, like from the screen, asking about his like what he's good at, what he isn't good at, where he fits here. And he gets Duck Guy gets really belligerent with this, and so he starts like smacking buttons, pushing buttons, and he pushes one. It's a blue button. It's got a picture of a dog on it, and the computer screen lights up and goes, "Oh, I see you want to register a complaint with the Care Hound. Okay, well, be sure to speak clearly and voice all of your concerns directly into the Care Hound's mouth." And Ducky goes, "Shouldn't it be his ears?" And they're like, "Nope, talk into his mouth." And the doors open and you see this like mutant, terrifying dog. It looks like something that Hades might keep for a fucking pet. And it like gets closer and closer and it eats Duck Guy. And then like 5 seconds later, it spits him out and he's all wet, but he's got like a high visibility vest on. He's got the hard hat. And he literally just goes, "I'm an employee here. I love my job." And he like falls right in line, goes out to the floor and starts essentially like mingling with people, doing work. And then he like snaps out of it a little bit. And when he gets out there, the reason he snaps out of it is because he realizes he's been in the elevator for 40 years. And they're throwing the retirement party for Yellow Guy, who has just put in his 40th year of service. Now, the one thing I did forget to mention is the name of this place.
I was just about to ask if you could say the name of it.
I have to, dude. This is like as I'm talking, like neurons are firing. It's like, oh yeah. There's just so fucking much that goes on in these episodes.
Yeah, when they transition from a 3 to 6 minute video to a 24-minute video,
they amplify by 10.
You get a bit more content out of the episodes.
Oh yeah, and it's all just as fast paced. So the name of this place we find out is called Petersons and Sons and Friends, which is very hard to say a bunch, so I'm not going to.
Bits and Parts.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, it was Petersons and Sons and Friends Bits and Parts Limited. Fucking mouthful. But basically, essentially, you learn that they turn bits into parts. That's their whole fucking purpose. So Red Guy is giving this speech about how Yellow Guy has worked there for so long and they're sending him on his way. Well, you learn that Red Guy is Peterson. Like, he's the guy who founded the company. And he's just like, he thinks he's 40 years older at this point. And he says, good job. And they give him a card signed by all the employees. And Duck Guy loses his fucking shit, goes, "This isn't real!" And like smacks the card and it goes into the parts grinder. And Yellow Guy's like, "My card!" And he starts reaching after it. And his arm just gets torn to shreds. And my favorite, everyone starts freaking out. Duck Guy starts freaking out. Everyone else is like, "Oh my God, I'm so happy I'm not having an accident right now. I feel so alive." And Duck Guy looks at Red Guy and he goes, "Do something." And Red Guy looks over and goes, "You're fired," to Yellow Guy. And Duck Guy's like, "Not that." And he goes and he gets the health briefcase off the wall, which was referenced earlier. And he opens it. And inside is the singing, talking briefcase. And without fucking warning, he launches right back into the song where he left off. And they start going through their different jobs, being transported around, and they end up right back at home. What happens at the end of that?
You say.
Oh, yeah.
And his wife?
So,
Oh, to shreds, you say.
so they're home. Briefcase is there, and they're like, okay, I mean, that was fun. They're all very discombobulated. And as the briefcase is leaving, he goes, "Oh, I almost forgot. Here's your payment." And he flicks a coin, and like it's slow-mo. On the very end, you see it shoot directly into Duck Guy's eyeball, and it just fucking half blinds him.
Yeah.
One thing that I actually just realized, that coin, I think, was the payment for the lunch at the warehouse, because at one point Duck Guy goes to get lunch and the thing's like, "Nope, you can't have lasagna and cigarettes," which is what they eat apparently. And so he goes to this shitty
True
like
Italians.
yeah. he goes to like this side little like compactor, and then it says like, this is the free option. If you want to pay for lasagna and cigarettes, you need a token. And it just clicked that I think that fucking thing was a lunch token for that goddamn warehouse. But that's the end of Jobs.
I like the part where they're like, when they get back to the kitchen, Duck Guy's just like, why did we do any of this?
Right. He's just like, what was the point of this? It's so good. But yeah, that is the end of it. Circular fashion, start in the kitchen, end in the kitchen.
Digital fashion.
Digital style.
Oh,
damn it.
man. So with that, it brings us to our next episode.
It's the next stage in life after Jobs.
Death. Oh, yes. I really liked this episode. This one was a lot of
This
fun.
one was super fucked up.
So basically, we open with the three characters sitting around their living room, and Duck Guy just immediately goes, "Well, I'm dead," just like right off the bat.
Yeah, does he pull a guru and just like, real dick move if I would die right now?
Well, he's like reading the newspaper, and then it like cuts behind him, and in the newspaper, it's just like definitely dead, and it's like a picture. It's a picture of him.
Yeah.
And so he like stands up, and all of a sudden his fucking heart just like plops out of
It
him,
just falls out.
and they're all kind of like, "Yo, why did that
Why
happen?"
your heart gone?
He's like, "Oh no, this is normal." And then like it like slowly just like goops its way over to the corner of the room, and just like fuses into the floorboards, and just turns into the coffin teacher for the episode. It's pretty weird. It's actually like just the first like really disgusting thing we get in the series.
Yeah.
So basically the coffin starts telling, Duck Guy the next steps of how to die. And yeah,
It's important, Doug.
It's just really bizarre because Duck Guy is very much alive.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they're all just like, "Oh, okay, like, yeah, sure." So fucking Red Guy and Yellow Guy start planning the funeral for the duck, and they start singing a song, and they're like baking a cake, but
It's a big, they're breaking pretty cake.
No, you can't be lazy.
Now bring it down, bitch.
Let me see you bag it up.
but yeah, so they're like, baking a cake and like doing this shit, and like Yellow Guy thinks they're making a fucking some sort of meat dish. I can't remember, but like
Hot dish.
yeah, they're like, "Oh wait, the funeral's right now. We gotta go to the funeral." Like,
Wait, we can't
just
be doing
like
this.
mid song, they're like, "Oh yeah, we need to get over there." So we ended up with a shot of Duck in the coffin at his like gravestone, and on the gravestone it says David, and Duck Guy's like, "Well, that's not right," and the coffin's like, "Well, that's the name," and he's like, "Oh, the stone's name is David." He's like, "No," but yeah, so it's this part's really funny actually because there's like this whole argument between Red Guy and Duck Guy where basically the coffin wants him to say like some nice remarks about him, and he's like, "Well, I want my best friend to say the remarks," and Duck Guy's like looking at Red Guy, and Red Guy's like, "Yeah, I'm not your best friend." He's like, "I know you, but like," and then Yellow Guy's like, "I could say something nice," and Duck Guy's like, "No, I want my best friend to say it." And Red Guy's like, "Dude, I'm not your best friend." But yeah, so basically after that, you can tell that like they're just like sitting around at home, just like grieving, quote unquote.
Yellow Guy is for sure.
Yeah, Yellow Guy he's like definitely not taking it well. You can see. But they start like hearing this like fucking shit going on in the kitchen, and they open the door to the kitchen, and there's like all these like weird spherical like grayscale people in there, and there's like a weird talking tissue box, and they're just like kind of like acting like they know Duck Guy because they have like a picture of him, but it says David on it, and they're all just like
Maybe
yeah,
that
like
is his name, and we all just were like
Maybe
profiling
he forgot.
him. We were just
Yeah, right.
Red
profiling
guy
this
is Peterson.
Yeah. Red Guy's Peterson. Duck Guy's David.
Yellow Guy's spaghetti
Jr.
squash. Roy Jr.
yeah.
June Roy.
But all these people are like acting like they're sad about it, and like they're like, you guys don't even know Duck Guy, or he's like, they're like, you don't even know him, and they're like, the tissue box is like, did anyone really know him? And then like one of the sphere dudes walks up to fucking yellow guy and like hands him a present, and he like opens up the bag, and inside is like, it says like, make a friend, and so I guess that's his way of like, you know, that's how they're gonna grieve about it. So we cut over to yellow guy sitting in his bed, and the lamp comes to life and is like,
God damn it.
starts talking about like how some people deal with grief and like what happens when you die. And he says some really normal things, and then he goes into like this weird tangent about how when you die, your body goes into the center of the earth and you become a part of the a super race called the Council.
Yeah.
Some Alex Jones shit, son.
I learned this in Catholic school.
But like literally he says it and then he's like, well, I'm gonna go to bed, and just like turns himself off. And like we get no other context about the super race called the Council. So we cut back.
Was that a reference to
The
web
the
series?
love episode.
There's
the tiny pigeon.
baby pigeon.
Baby pigeon.
Everybody has a special person.
I don't know. There's actually a couple parts that could tie into that right there, because there's in one of my other episodes something happens. But
Same.
so basically what we get is we cut back to red and yellow guy, and they're like sitting at the kitchen table trying to like pick out their new friend, and they're like going through this catalog of like what it could possibly be, and then yellow guy doesn't like any of the options. He's like, nah, like all these people suck, and he like slaps this like pink goo off the table, and it like lands on the floor, and then fucking it like comes to life, and it's just like this weird talking goo. But then once we see that come to life, we cut over to Duck Guy in the fucking his coffin, and he's actually been like talking to the coffin periodically throughout all of this stuff happening, but he's basically just like not dying correctly and like pissing this coffin off like super hard, and he's scratching the inside of the coffin.
He's got that little like,
he's got a buzzer.
he's like the fucking stewardess button on an airplane.
So yeah, he's like, he keeps calling the coffin, like he keeps opening his eyes and like talking to him and shit, and he like shits his pants a bunch of times in the coffin. He's like scratching the coffin. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm keeping track of time. He's like, how? He's like, you've been in here longer than 5 minutes. He's like, oh, I'm doing it in seconds. And he's like, what? But yeah, so he's just like pissing the coffin off, and then fucking let's see, where am I at? I totally lost my fucking place. Oh right, so yeah, he's fucking with the coffin, and then we cut back to the block of goo, and this thing is just so fucking weird. Like, it's like super cheery, super happy, and it like sings this whole song, and then like at the end of the song, red guy and yellow guy are just like, don't do that, like stop, like this isn't how we do things here. And the pink thing like notices the hole in the fucking all right,
What?
he notices the hole in the floor from when the heart fused with the floor.
Why did
and
you do that?
Because it's fucking hot, man.
This isn't DLUTI After Dark. You can't do that here.
we're gonna
I'm
get
just so warm.
We're
gonna get demonetized.
Demonetized. Twitch.
Yeah, we're gonna demonetize because the
the
tits
rest-
are too bodacious.
Too
my
supple.
That is the thing. That's the thing that's gonna push us over demonetization.
Is being shirtless?
it won't be talking about how to sex a snail or
Yeah, not
you know.
fucking a slug.
Or fucking dolphins, or how to cook meth, or
Yeah, or a religion that's based around cooking opium. Like, none of that.
Nah, that's everything else will be fine. All right, but anyway, so yeah, the goo is looking at the floor, right? And red guy's like, yeah, you can't look at the floor, like don't look at the floor. And he's like, well, okay, like he's like, it's so I think he says, he's like, it's so beautiful and horrific at the same time, I can't look away.
I'm sorry, Pooty. Do you think in like post editing you could edit on just like a shitty like clip art shirt?
I'm gonna put like a Minecraft like upper armor piece.
Hell yeah. Do that, please.
I just imagine you just editing, just click, dragging it over.
I'm just testing like my creative freedom while I'm here, seeing what I can do and what we do with it.
Hell yeah. Anyways, back to the things that we were talking about. So yeah, the goo's like trying to look at all this shit in the house, and red guy like won't let him, and then yellow guy like freaks out. And he's like, "You can't do that. You can't say that." He's like, "You gotta say things like the floor is too loud or the window is disrespecting you."
Yep.
But yeah, so basically they go into another song about like fucking memories, and honestly, I didn't really care for the songs in this one, like
No.
really very much. So I'm like very much just brushing over them. But basically at the end of the song, yellow guy decides that he's gonna go dig up duck guy, and we see him bringing a fucking shovel to the graveyard, and then red guy when yellow guy's digging up duck guy, red guy is starting to like add a bill and like clothes to the goo. Because
Oh,
the
yeah,
goo
yeah,
is
yeah.
for the creative friend, so he's basically making a doppelganger of Duck Guy.
Yep.
So all of a sudden we clip over, and you see like yellow guy bust through the coffin after Duck Guy's just totally driven the coffin mad, and he goes back home with yellow guy, and then there's now two Duck Guys and yellow guy and red guy in the living room.
Yep.
And
It's a classic, that movie with Harrison Ford,
no,
where there's two Harrison Fords. Isn't that a movie?
That's the new Indiana Jones coming
You're
out.
right. No, it's that movie with Michael Keaton, where there's two Michael
CG.
Keatons.
Oh, yeah.
Something
I'm
multiplicity, multiplicity, simplicity,
Duplicity?
duplicity, something like that.
I'm pretty sure it's duplicity.
Go ahead.
poo poo city.
City.
So yeah, now there's four of them, and then they cut to the
There's
main
four of
theme.
us.
Yeah, there's four of us. There's four of us, and then they get through the main theme song, and then you just see the fucking one of the duck guys
You don't
just
know which.
murder the other duck guy with the shovel. And to be fair, if you were looking at the
Yep.
last scene, where they were all standing, it's technically the goo duck guy that killed the real duck guy. So
And if you want to double check though, the goo duck guy's head and body was like slightly thicker than original duck guys. So if you see one that looks thicker, that's a goo. If you see the thinner one, that's real. That's something that I kept in mind. I'm hoping when you guys talk about it, maybe you noticed it, maybe not.
maybe not.
Probably not.
But yeah,
That's
so that's where we end with death. Lot of more questions. than
So many more
answers.
questions.
A lot of more questions. I
But-
have a lot of more questions.
Essentially, we don't know if duck guy is actually back or not.
Is it Duck Guy? We'll never know.
It's gonna be a long episode.
15. Oh yeah.
Number 15.
Duck
Remind
Guy.
me, I'm scared.
What's next, Moot?
Oh my god, let me tell you. So I got the next fucking episode, and let me tell you something. I was
I love
kind of
the
on
energy,
one
man.
when I wrote these fucking notes, and you know what? You're just getting what you get. So I wrote these with the idea that we were going to try to go through this pretty quickly. So it's basically just stream of consciousness. So
I think we are
I'm-
doing that for the
I'm
rest of
reading it. I'm reading it with the same energy I wrote it with. So basically, this episode is called Family, and so it opens with a TV shot of a red dog sitting at a table, and there's a paint guy like standing next to the table, and the paint guy says that they're waiting for brother's visit, and then all of a sudden we realize that, oh wait, brother's visit isn't until next month. Oh fucking well, and then the pink guy just like fucking smashes the fuck out of a plate. So we zoom out of the TV, and we got yellow guy and red guy, and they're fucking arguing about which character's name is which. Like they can't come to an agreement about whether this is this character's name or this is like if the dog is one person or the human being is another person. And I don't even remember the names, and I didn't write them down. But that's the gist
To be
of the
honest,
argument.
they don't fucking
Oh,
matter.
what's
yeah,
the
it
fucking
doesn't,
name?
it
That's
doesn't
like
matter.
Grosh and
Oh,
Hindrel or something.
I
Like,
can't
it's-
even. I listened to the names and didn't understand them, so I just
didn't
didn't write
register.
them down.
It's
Yeah.
like no,
So-
no. Harshal is the human. Yeah. Anyways, go on.
So a chicken commercial comes onto the screen, and this one's more important. So it's like a family sitting around a bucket of fucking like KFC chicken, and so Duck Guy walks in to the room, and he says, "Guess what I just found in the pantry?" And it's a packet of cheddar dollops. which look like they basically look like cheese puffs. It's
Yeah.
like a bag of cheese
Cheesy
puffs.
poofs.
And so like he like legitimately asked them to guess. And so red guy starts guessing what it is, and duck guy's like, "No, you're fucking stupid." And so like all of a sudden this blonde girl shows up at the window of the kitchen that they're sitting in, and she's got a green apple in her hand. And the apple says, "Why not try a healthy option?" And like all the fucking sudden, this other little blonde fuck shows up, and they're like some like weird fucking like twin.
It's like from The Shining.
Right? Yeah,
They're like the
that's what
first
I was trying to think of. Yeah,
human-looking
The Shining.
people.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Way more
So-
terrifying.
Right, yeah. So they're like, "Hey, these motherfuckers need our help." So yellow guy is like, "Wow, I've never spoken to two people at once before." And that guy's like, "What about us?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." So the blonde kids are like, "You can't fucking read. Clearly, this packet of cheddar dollops says it's a family pack." And duck guy and red guy argue about like if they were a family, who would be the father figure in the family? And duck guy's like, "Nah, clearly I'm the father figure." And he's like, "I've got a wallet, and it's got pictures in it of like people that aren't even anybody who's in this scene at all." And red guy's like, "What the fuck are those pictures of?" And duck guy's like, "Oh, I don't fucking know. I have a wallet though." So duck guy and red guy are arguing about this. And they don't even decide that yellow guy is their kid. They decide that he's the pet of the family.
Yes.
Yeah.
To be fair, that's closer to being the truth than
Yeah.
not.
Right. Well, yellow guy's not fazed by that because he's like, "I've got a family." And then he like dreams up a thought bubble of his dad, Roy. And the little
God,
blonde
this one.
shitheads are like, "That's not a family. That's just a dad." So clearly, if you don't have two parents, you can't be a family.
No.
So these
You
little
heard it here first.
I cannot stress how fucking creepy these like little blonde fucks are.
They're not.
They start going into this description of what they think a family should be, and then they look at each other's eyes and they both just go and it's like
they make a moot noise.
awful. Yes. It's like awful and incesty. And it's, if you've ever seen that Folgers commercial, and if you've seen it, you know what Folgers commercial I'm talking about. And
Yes.
like it's way more uncomfortable than that. It's like the McDoyles from fucking is
McPoyles.
always
Oh my God.
Always Sunny
McPoyles,
just
yeah.
turned up to puppet is what this is. So the duck guy says, "Why are you so obsessed with family? It's just a word." And the little boy blonde, he gets so angry he pisses himself. Literally just like
Yeah.
pees his pants.
Well,
So the next
That's a
part,
power move right there.
right. So we slide right from the pants peeing straight into song. And we learn about what family means. We learn that F is for friendship because family is friends. We learn that A is for advice. That's because a family gives advice. Then we learn that U is for unit.
Yep.
A unit of what, says Duck Guy? It doesn't fucking matter. Look at this unit of ants. L is for landlines and learning to share. You're not a family unless you've got a real landline. You all got cell phones? No.
Nope.
Fuck you.
Fuck
If
you.
your parents can't pick up the landline and listen to you and your girlfriend having awkward phone sex, you're not a real family.
No.
No. B is for bunk bed. We're sharing a bath. C is for cooking. Cooking family meal.
Hey, Matt. Can I?
No,
can I
no,
just ask?
no, shut up.
I'm wrong. You're right.
Shut your
H
fucking
is
mouth.
for haircuts. D is for devotion. And T is for twins.
Something
like these
is
two
not
little
right.
awful fucks. Yeah, it's because this word doesn't spell family. These letters.
It doesn't spell anything.
No.
What
These
does it
letters
spell?
out which Duck
That's
Guy
almost
notes
family.
is not family. And the two little blonde-headed twin things, whose names I can't even remember. One of them's Todd something. They say that's because family.
I think it's toddler, or no, not toddler.
Toblerone.
Fuck, I just
No.
was looking at it. Go, keep going.
Toddledite. I don't know.
Troglodyte and Grunk. Let's just call him that from now on.
But that's
Todney.
because family is so much more than a word. So then the red guy gets like real racist, and he's like, hey, wait a second. I can't be family with these two shitheads because they don't look like I do. I need a family full of other red guys like me. And so they decide, the little twins decide that it is time for a family meeting. So they decide that the best course of action is for everybody to come over to their house so that they can see what a real family is like.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, yeah, Bird Guy's pretty opposed, or Duck Guy is pretty opposed to that initially.
Mike's
but
got his fucking
he
grasp
gets-
in you, man.
Yeah, I know. I even replaced all the birds in my document.
What a
Still wasn't
fucking
good enough.
sentence.
So everybody goes over to the little twins' house, and let me fucking tell you about this house. This house is some shit. This house, have you ever seen a Tool music video?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Because
Jesus.
that's what, specifically the sober video. If you've ever
Yes.
seen
Yes,
this
yes.
Tool's sober video,
Sober,
that's what
yeah.
this house looks like. It's like horrible claymation. It's got that, like Coraline. It's got that
Yeah.
type of vibe.
Mm-hmm,
So the girl, little blonde kid, pours everybody some tea, and it's the fucking shittiest ass motor oil mixed with curdled milk looking sludge you've ever seen. It's awful. And Duck Guy is like, it smells bad in here. And so the camera pans around the house, and there's just like piles of cigarette butts filled with cobwebs and shit. And there's like a brief shot of grandma, and she's just fucking decomposing in the fucking wheelchair.
I forgot about the family. Oh, my God. Sorry,
and then
keep
there's
going.
like this really awkward scene where everybody gets real into some sniffing. They talk about how it's their family scent.
Oh, God.
But then their dad shows up, and their little brother, and Dad's awful. Like he looks like a prune man. My notes say that he looks like a dehydrated dingleberry. I feel like that's pretty apt. So he doesn't say anything. He just walks into the room and puts some shit onto the TV, and everybody's like, "What the fuck is this shit?" And the kids are like, "Oh, this is our first family picnic." And they're like, "How long is this?" And somebody is like, "Oh, this is the director's cut." So,
What? What?
yeah. And then Dad gets real mad because nobody will shut the fuck up. And so all of a sudden, Grandma like undecomposes from her wheelchair and just starts screaming her fucking head off. And now all of a sudden, we've decided that it is family game time. So they all gather around a table. And so they start discussing the rules of this real complicated board game. And it's some super occult shit. Like the game board itself looks ancient. There's fucking runic symbols on the cards and shit. And so they start rolling
family
dice.
secrets. That's right.
And nobody is super clear about what the rules to this game are. Yeah, and at some point, one of them is like, every family has a secret, which is super ominous. But they
No
do
explanation.
there is notably a mother missing from this family gathering, but they do note that mother will be home in time for dinner. And then that's basically the end of that. They don't mention mother again, but Duck Guy really wants to leave at this point. And he starts telling them that he wants to leave, but they're like, wait, hold the fuck on. You can use mom's playing piece for the game. And so Duck Guy touches the playing piece, and Grandma loses her shit. She starts screaming and stuff, and they're like, okay, hold up. I think it's time for you to leave. And Duck Guy just disappears from existence. Like he gets sucked down underneath the table. There's really no explanation about what happens to him. So without saying anything about that, then they take Yellow Guy and Red Guy to the family tree, which is just a room that's got a tree in the middle of it. And
Oh my
there's
God,
a
yeah.
shitload of pictures hanging from the tree. And they're all looking at these pictures. And Red Guy's like, I can't help but notice all these pictures are framed. I hope when I have a family, we'll have framed pictures. But what's actually happened with these pictures is like lots of people have been crossed out of them.
Oh, yeah.
But one picture in particular gets brought up, and they start talking about their Uncle Terry, who died because he went on fire. And then they're like super interested in the fact that he left them their left them his filing cabinet when he died, and they're like, it's a super nice filing cabinet. But all of a sudden the tree comes to life and it starts asking Red Guy for a fucking DNA sample, and he's like, for what? And the tree's like, so we can find who your family is. And instead of taking just like a small sample, he just starts fucking draining Red Guy.
He does say it's only a little bit.
Blood. Yeah, well, it's fucking not.
It's not.
Red Guy starts getting woozy and shit, and he passes out. And so we go through like this trippy ass sequence, and we end up back in our original house that the three original people live in. And Duck Guy's there, and he's talking to some bread on the counter about whether or not he can join their family. And he's like, can I join your family? And they're like, no, you can't join our fucking family. We're bread. So he's like, all right, fuck you. And he grabs one of the bread and just shoves him in a toaster. And
oh my God,
turns
yeah.
the toaster on. And the bread's like, oh, fuck.
Wasn't that supposed to be like the two bread parents' child or some shit?
Yeah.
It was like the child bread.
It's super dark. And then like while this like bread child is burning to death, Duck Guy starts singing about how he doesn't even want a family. A family doesn't suit him apparently, and it's pretty much just that for like a long time. He talks about how he wants to be a family with himself, and that he's going to be there for himself, and he's going to eat family-sized meals all by himself.
Good for him.
But anyway, a family should keep records. That's what we learn next. So we go back to the like fucked up twin family's house, and they start talking about how families should keep records. And so they're measuring the twins' height, and they're like, oh, hey, look, we've grown. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, yellow guy, let's fucking measure you. And he's like, but I'm not part of your family. And they're like, well, you're almost part of the family. And then it's bedtime. And so we get a shot of the twins sleeping in a bed together, and then yellow guy's in his own little twin bed. And yellow guy's having a fucking time of it trying to go to sleep. So Todney, the male twin, is like, hey, I'll sing you the fucking bedtime song. And it's basically just like blah, la, 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 la. And yellow guy's like, wow, you do have an incredible voice. And he starts to pass out. And like right before he passes out, we see a brief shot of this just terrifying like undead toddler who's laying under the bed, like holding a toy. and then yellow guy's just out. And so we jump from this back to Red Guy, who is now in a photo studio, and he's taken a picture with a bunch of other people who are like his Red Guy family, and they're arguing about how our Red Guy shouldn't be in the picture. And he's like, no, but I want to be in the picture. And they're like, all right, fine. So they take the picture, and as soon as they take the picture, Red Guy drops back into the kitchen with Duck Guy. I almost did it.
You did. It's Mike.
Mike caught myself.
I know Mike knew what he was doing. I know for a fact. I know that he knows that he was going to not be here for the whole episode, and I know that he was purposefully calling him Birdman or Bird Guy to fuck us up.
Can you make sure that you like really up my audio levels when I correct him?
That was, dude, okay. I could not stop laughing. I could not stop laughing.
I'll
or maybe just transpose my voice over his parts.
Duck Guy.
Okay. Yeah. I'll just cut him out. So anyway, he drops back into the house, and then we just like smash cut back to yellow guy. And these weird little fucks have replaced their mother with yellow guy. They've got him dressed up in her outfit. He's fucking wearing her earrings and shit. And they sit this rotary phone in front of yellow guy, and there's like, make the fucking call! Make the call! And yellow guy's like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? And they're like, we're hungry. Make the phone call. And so yellow guy just like punches in some fucking numbers into the phone, and he's like, chicken, I want a bucket of chicken. And the fucking sky of the goddamn dining room opens up, and the bucket of chicken from the commercial at the beginning of the episode just drops out of the ceiling. And what I can only describe as the mouths from a Mario plant enemy. Like, I don't know what they're called.
The piranha
but
plant?
Like, right, yeah. Everybody just like splits their fucking heads open, and their teeth look like that, and they start devouring this fucking chicken. And while that's going on, there's a knock at the door. And the door opens, and it's Roy. It's the yellow guy's dad. And he's just like making grunting noises. And he walks into the room, and the yellow guy's like, yeah, you know what? I'm fucking out of here. So he walks out, and as he closes the door, we just see blood splatter all over the wall as Roy just like rips these people apart. And, then from there, we go back to the kitchen.
Jesus
And
Christ.
everybody's there again. Yellow guy has made it back home, and duck guy's there and red guy's there, and they're like, you know what? I think that we've decided that we can actually be a family because we all love each other and we share the same lawyer. And so they decide because of those things, they can open up the family-sized packet of fucking Cheeto things. And so they open them up, and red guy dumps them out on the table, and it's just two of them. And they're like, and he starts to be like, well, I guess we can just take one of them and split it. And duck guy's just like, no, I want both of them. And that's where the episode ends. And that is family. That's everything you've ever needed to know about family.
You know, I feel like a more learned person now.
Fantastic.
And I want to thank you for that, Matt.
Yeah,
Also,
you're
my
welcome.
God.
I think we really hit on some moral truths,
I think
some
I think we're teaching
good
people things.
Christian lessons.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we're definitely
1000%.
we're making people better people. I mean, I don't know if better is the right word there, but
People are people.
so why should it
Yeah.
be?
Anyways,
We're not going to
Jason,
spin right now.
You want to teach us about friendship?
I would love to teach you guys about friendship. I mean, you guys are my good friends. I'd like to think so, but I will say I haven't really recognized many of the concepts in this video with you guys, so I think there's some work we have to do before we can actually call each other friends.
you're right. You're absolutely right. There's- There's a core thing that happens in this episode that I think we need at least one of us to go through before we can really figure out how to like treat each other properly.
Yeah,
right.
and I think that person has volunteered himself by leaving early.
That's true. Party foul.
Yeah. I don't see any complaints here with that. But anyway, so after family, we get another video called Friendship. And this one starts off with our favorite threesome, duck guy, yellow guy, and red guy.
That's
Being-
my second favorite, but we don't need to get into that.
The family episode is your second favorite?
No, the favorite
That's my
trio.
second favorite threesome.
Yeah.
Got it. I'm
Find
a
out the
little slow
first
today.
one on our fucking fireside chat tonight.
Yeah, I guess so. Also, there's still time for people to write questions if you would like them answered.
Yeah, super meta, but if you're listening to this right now, you missed it. If you're in Discord, send us questions that we can answer on a fireside chat. Thank
Yep.
you. Please and thank you. Bye.
Okay, right. So let's talk about friendship a bit, shall we? First and foremost, duck guy, yellow guy, and red guy are very excited about today. And they're in their living room area, and they're all sorts of excited because guess what today is, Doug? Do you know? Matt, do you know what today is?
Today is June 20th.
Yeah. Hey, I noticed
is
that
June-
too. Guess
Yeah.
what fucking date is on the
Yep.
wall in the
Yep.
kitchen?
Yep. So this was all on purpose. This is just some super intricate planning on our part. I can't even say that with a fucking straight face.
Don't hug me, I'm scared. Not a sponsor.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so in the TV series, I don't know if we mentioned this at all.
We haven't brought it up, and I was like waiting for someone to say it.
I thought somebody else would have at this point, but so at the very last thing we saw last with the web series and the teasers, etc., was the date changing from June 19th to June 20th. It's fantastic because today is June 20th. Here we are. Let's go.
And our first episode dropped yesterday, which was June 19th.
perfect.
Man.
Love
We're on
all
top
of
of
this. Yeah,
Why do we even plan anything ever?
it just has
just-
like
We don't.
this shit just happens. Like
Right.
we shouldn't
Yeah.
have to plan
If we just
anything.
let it go and just let it
The
happen,
universe will
this
provide.
is what would happen.
Yeah. But
DLUTI, God's favorite podcast.
well, I think we have a new trailer to make, and I think I know what the theme might be.
If we don't drop God's favorite podcast in our new trailer, I swear it's not a new trailer.
It isn't. That's what it has to be. You know what? Fuck this. Doug, pour up a shot. I need a shot before I talk about this episode because much like Matt's episode, this is going to be a bit of stream of consciousness because as these episodes go forward, more and more happens in every episode. So this is just going to be, I'm sorry, everyone.
We're about to go on like 3 just rants.
Yeah, 100%, especially because we have to get this done soon-ish. I've even turned off the timer, so I don't know where we are. But there's a reason for that. So cheers, Doug.
Cheers, Matt.
Matt, are you drinking
1
with
hour,
us?
31 minutes, and 28 seconds.
Perfect. Cheers, buddy.
I could be the guy that types really fast on the keyboard. Stuck in my fucking head all day.
And it will not go away. Okay, so, guys, it's computer day.
Oh, it's a
computer day.
Oh, I love computer day.
And yes, the computery guy comes
Dude.
out.
Computer day in fucking middle school when
Oh
you'd
my
go
God.
into the fucking Mac lab and you'd have like the
Yeah.
little fucking colored iMacs.
Okay,
You'd walk up to the door of your classroom and that fucking piece of paper would be there that says meet in the computer lab. And you'd be like,
oh
yes!
shit, fuck yes. Fuck yes, I get to play Oregon Trail.
Oregon Trail?
I loved Oregon Trail. That shit was awesome.
I liked Oregon
piece of
Trail.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Oregon.
Oregon.
Like organs.
Yeah, like in you.
Yeah. They made a game like that, right?
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah,
Oregon
yeah,
Trail, but
yeah.
zombies.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's great.
Anyways.
Anyway, let's talk about friendship. And starts off with celebrating the fact that it is computer day. I didn't know that you had to have a day for computers. I thought you could just use them whenever you wanted, but apparently you need to reserve a day. So today is computer day. Fucking hell. I wrote in my notes digital style here just to remind all of you about the wonderful song that happens when it's computer time. That does not happen here. I thought it was going to at one point, but thank God it does not. So they log onto their computer, and yes, it is the computery guy, which we find out his name is what, Colin, I think? Colin the computer?
Something like that.
I think that's it.
Oh,
So he shows up and he's like, what would you like to do? And they start talking about what they want to do for the day. And yellow guy's like, I just want to dick around. Red guy's like, I don't really want to do much, but you know, we could read some articles, this, that, and the other. And then duck guy is like, I want to go on the dark web.
I want to look at a skeleton.
Yeah. And I want to look at a skeleton.
I want to go to rotten.com.
Pretty much. So they get on the computer and then the computer goes, what's the password? And they say, all right. And they turn to yellow guy who's like, well, it's your job to remember the password. And it goes to like this chart of responsibilities. And it shows like a bunch of stuff that duck guy has to do, a bunch of stuff that red guy has to do. And under yellow guy, it just says in giant letters, remember. Like that's
Why?
it.
No, that's like the last thing you should assign him.
Exactly. Absolutely. That's like his fucking worst topic is memory. But here we are. So it was his job to remember the password. Unfortunately, yellow guy is yellow guy, and he has no fucking idea what it is. He goes, well, try my name. And red guy is typing for like 2.5 minutes. And then he goes, don't forget the hyphen. He's like, right, the hyphen. And he goes and he types a bunch more.
I cried laughing
Dude.
at that part. He's like, don't forget the hyphen.
I was laughing so hard. And he goes through it and he enters. He must have hit like, it was like 100 fucking keystrokes.
It was
Hits
like a
enter.
full minute.
Yeah, it was insane. Hits enter. Nope, wrong. He's like, well, okay. He goes, you have one more try. And then duck guy goes like, well, why don't you try my name? And red guy literally hits one button and hits enter and it goes, bam, locked. And he's like, well, okay. So now the computer's asking, okay, let's try something different. Let's see if you are human. Let's see if you are authorized to use it. It's essentially like an are you human test that we see like the captures all the time.
I'm going to ask you a few questions to
Yes.
prove you're yourself.
And he does ask him questions, not the query to get on the internet like that was from the computer episode from the web series, but he does ask a very long-winded question. And essentially it shows a cart of apples or an apple or something.
It's an apple and a pig.
An apple and a pig. And it basically says find the appropriate spots in the market for these items to go. And it just shows like
okay, all right, real quick. So the first thing that pops up is an apple and a pig, and it's like, choose the apple.
oh,
And then
yeah,
Bird
that's
Guy's
right.
like, oh, he's like, I'm really good at these. He's
He's
like, I
like-
got this. And he's like moving the mouse over the apple, and then the
Struggling.
pig, and then Red Guy's like, he's like, oh, be careful.
yeah. Oh, you almost got it. Oh, yeah, you're doing well. And he eventually clicks on the apple, and they all celebrate a bit. And now they say, take the apple and put it in the correct market stall.
Yeah.
And there's just like it's a clip art of like hundreds of market stalls, and you keep going, and they literally just hold like the right button to keep walking down the aisles of stalls, and nobody there is selling apples. And so they just keep going, and then they fail, and this this fucking guy pops up. And so essentially they failed this because Duck Guy made a market man look stupid when he was selling his products because they weren't the same. And so that's why they failed this capture. Sorry, this very complicated Turing test, apparently.
I love, so when the guy pops up, he's like, you've brought shame to my
Yeah.
my market
to
my market
stall.
venture. He's like, I will burn down my orchard tonight.
Yep.
Oh,
It's just like, well, fuck. So after this happens, Yellow Guy just starts self-deprecating, like repeatedly over and over and over again. He's like, I'm so stupid. I should have remembered, blah, blah, blah. And Red Guy literally goes like, well, yeah, that's because you're a... And then Duck Guy goes like, yeah, you didn't know that you were... And he's like, what? And he goes, that's not very nice. And Red Guy's like, no, yeah, I'm sorry. Let's try this again. You are a... And
real glad
Duck
I
Guy's
can
like,
hear what's
yeah,
going on right now.
can you not?
No.
Thank God.
Yeah. I didn't hear it at
Seriously,
first,
thank
and I
God.
was like, oh.
Yes. It goes back to Duck Guy. He agrees again. And yes, you cannot hear what they're actually saying. You can only kind of assume. And that's when you get the record scratch moment of the episode, which we haven't really had one of those in the web series yet. But literally, like, the static goes up and like it's like the pause screen on a video. And you hear a voiceover with his hand that says, okay, stop. And you hear this voice saying like, wow, that's not a really nice way to talk to your friend. Do you think that this person will be friends? And like goes off on like an analysis of like what just happened. He goes, let's rewind and let's see what should have happened. And the whole video rewinds, and like on the pause screen, Yellow Guy's like, what's happening? Like he's trying to move, but he can't.
Yep.
And like they rewind and they go through it again, but there's this super horrible pink, rotten toothed mouth like superimposed over Yellow Guy and Red Guy. And so Red Guy, he does the whole thing where he calls Yellow Guy. Then the fucking mouth pops up and he goes, wow, that's not very nice. You really shouldn't talk to your friends like that. How about you reevaluate your life choices or something like that?
I do want to bring up one small thing.
Did I miss something?
No.
Okay.
There's just this like fraction of a
Is this
second.
Jason's
Well,
part or is this your part?
it's all of ours. This is the communist podcast.
This is the
We're a
communist
family.
podcast.
When it
We-
rewinds, there's like a split second where you see them dressing Red Guy.
Oh, really? See, I missed that completely.
Like you see them like literally you see his face like the guy who's underneath the costume, and they put the
head on him.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
It's like a fraction of a second.
I missed
though.
that. Okay, but yeah. So like it pauses, and normally you'd think like the video pauses, but it's very very clear that like real life pauses, and they're trying to move but they can't. And so this voiceover comes up. And all of a sudden we see like this super deranged looking worm in a hat with like a headset mic on, and is he live streaming? It looks like he's live streaming or some shit like that. I'm not sure
Something like
what is
that.
happening. But this worm's name is Warren the Eagle, obviously.
Mhm, mhm.
And the first thing that Red Guy says about this guy when he's talking, he literally looks over, he goes, I hate this guy. I hate this guy. The worm tells his whole backstory through a song about, I mean, he says it's about friendship, but it's really fucking, it's just his backstory. It's literally just this worm's super sad backstory about how Nobody likes him and nobody will friends with him because he's annoying. Like he just straight up says that. So Red Guy literally goes, we don't have time for whatever this is. And he tries to like move on. And then they insult the shit out of the worm. Like literally they go down the line. They're like, yeah, this guy's just not likable. And like, I don't know, there's something about you that, you know, most people probably hate you. Like just ripping this fucking worm a new one. So after doing this, Yellow Guy literally out of fucking nowhere, they call him a bunch of names. And one of the things that they say is what, like, is it rat eyes?
Yeah.
I think it's rat eyes or rat something, but he's like, oh, that's the password.
He's like,
rat eyes.
he's like, that's my middle name.
Yeah, that's my middle name. That's the password. So they put it in the computer and they're like, cool, we're on. And they go into the internet.
Yeah.
So it's 107 characters.
It's just, it's a lot, man.
Safest password ever.
Yeah. So they go into their email first. They're like, okay, before we do anything we want to do, let's check our email. So Red Guy checks his, and he has an email from Duck Guy. I don't remember what it says. None of this part is really that important. Essentially, the only thing that's important here is that Red Guy has an email from Duck Guy. He responds to the email from Duck Guy. So when Duck Guy goes to check his email, he has an email. And then Yellow Guy just has none. And he's super sad. And both Red Guy and Duck Guy are like, oh, that's too bad. Like, okay, really, guys?
I love the email too. It's just like it's from Duck Guy and he's like, here's an email.
Here's an
and-
email. He's just like, thank you.
Yeah.
So they have no emails. And then Yellow Guy, like, just his face like melts a little. Like it literally looks like he has a stroke.
It is the funniest looking face.
It's so fucking funny. His eyes are super droopy. His mouth is open. Like there's nothing happening there. And then the worm is back. The worm shows right back up, guys. Don't worry. He is there to tell them that Yellow Guy has gone into his own brain and that they can't reach him right now. And then they start screaming.
Normally?
Huh?
Can they normally, though?
No, not normally. So, I mean, I guess, I don't know why right now is
Business
the
as
denotation
usual.
that matters. Yeah, right? Like, this shouldn't be a distinction that was made, but here we are. This is where we learn about the brain friends. And the brain friends are fantastic little creatures of imagination that live inside Yellow Guy's head. And he goes in there when he's feeling scared or upset so he can hang out with all the people that makes him feel safe. Honestly, there's just too much going on here to really describe. So I'm going to give you the advice that I should give everybody, which is just go watch this, like follow along, whatever you need to do, just watch this part. If I were to describe this part, it would take like a fucking hour. Like there's just so much going on here. So just know that this is Yellow Guy's imagination. That's really all you need to know.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's really all you need to know.
Oof.
So he's hanging out and his face is like slowly getting worse and worse. So Red Guy and Duck Guy decide, oh, hey, you're a worm. You're small enough to go in his ear and get into his brain and get him out. So why don't you just go on in there and you know, coax him out of his brain? And the worm's like, I don't know, this, that. And he goes like, oh, well, I guess you really didn't want to have a nice sit-down meal at a restaurant. And the worm guy stops and he's just like, really? You were going to do that with me? And they're like, well, I was, but I guess we don't have to anymore. And he's just like, oh. And so the next thing we see is we go back into the imagination with Yellow Guy and all of his brain friends. They send the worm inside his brain. When he gets there, he looks around. He's like, oh, this is fun. And they're all like having fun and talking. And this part hit home real fucking hard.
Yeah,
I'm not
right.
going to lie. So the worm starts like hijacking everything. So there's music playing and it's super
This sounds like a
nonsensical.
Futurama episode.
It really,
Right.
it reminds me of one just a little bit, but it also, this part reminds me of, I think, a trial/tribulation that the four of us might know all about. So the worm, they're listening to music. And the worm's like, oh, do you mind if I play something? And they're like, oh, sure. Yeah. Just right here. And he's like, well, can you connect this? And he holds like I'm assuming it's like a phone or something, or an MP3 player. And it's like, oh, the connection's on the back. And he's like, that's the old one. I need the new one. And he finally gets to work and he just starts playing like a podcast that he makes about
Yep.
finances.
Yeah.
I thought you were about to tell me he starts playing Motionless in White Feet Brian Garris.
No, not quite. That would be amazing, but I think it might have the same effect to most people at parties. At least not the people who are worth hanging out with, but you get it. So he starts playing his podcast, and everyone's like, "What? I kind of want to dance and listen to music and stuff." And he's just like talking everyone's ear off. And eventually, Yellow Guy's imagination friends go into his imagination basement and lock the door so he can't fucking find them. He's like, "Yeah, this was fun, but that guy sucks, so we're out."
Yeah, that dude sucks.
And so as this is all happening, Yellow Guy's like getting more and more anxiety ridden. And eventually he recedes into his imagination again. They pull some fucking Inception shit here. So he is in his imagination, and his imaginary self goes into his imagination. And it's slowly getting more and more abstract as he goes through these, I don't know, Inception verses, I guess we can call it. So we shoot back outside to where Duck Guy and Red Guy are. Yellow Guy's getting much worse. His face is like 4 feet long at this point, and it just looks like he should be dead. And it's like, it's just super abstract. We go back to his imagination, and like the worm like burrows deeper, and we see him tear open the fabric of the imagination reality, and we just see this deranged worm's face going, "Oh, hey, there you are. I didn't know where you went. I'm glad I found you." And Yellow Guy is just like, he's just like, "Get me the fuck away from this worm. This sucks." And he's getting worse and worse and worse. And then, oh yeah, the fucking horror sequence where it's like, you see flashes of the worm, and he's progressively getting worse and worse. And it's like a horror movie at this point.
That's pretty bad.
And eventually the worm finds him, and he looks like a fucking graboid from Tremors mixed with like a bloater from Left 4 Dead.
Oh god,
Like
okay.
it's just this fat, like huge worm, and he's about to devour Yellow Guy. And that's when we at the same time we see Duck Guy trying to like stab the worm with like it looks like a skewer for a barbecue or some shit. And he's like sticking it in Yellow Guy's ear. And right before the worm like chomps down on Yellow Guy's head, Bird Guy skewers him, and he just goes "Bleh," and like he pulls it out of his ear. Yellow Guy turns back to normal and shakes it off. And then oh right, my God, he looks at it and he goes, "Pesky bee."
Yeah.
That was so
Pesky
good.
bee.
Yeah. And he like throws it away. And then fucking computery guy comes back and he's like, "Do you guys still want to do computer day? Well, I can't. So here's a spherical computer. Have this. I'm leaving." And he just fucking fucks off
He's
out
like,
the
you
door.
can now visit the internet
go
whenever you want.
Fuck off. Bye. And then then the three of them, the Red Guy, Duck Guy, and Yellow Guy, all start singing it's like a Mr. Rogers style song. And it's essentially, just remember, you're not crazy. It's the worm in your brain. We all have a worm in our brain. And then somebody knocks over the fucking spherical computer, and everybody starts just beating the shit out of each other as the credits roll. It's just ridiculous noises, and you assume at least one person dies, but that is the end of the friendship episode.
You assume at least one person does.
You
Red-
have to, right?
Red Guy is just so unhinged in the TV series. I love when he screams about stuff.
Oh my
favorite-
God.
My favorite parts are like the moments where he very solidly establishes that he is really not actually friends with any of these people. And he's just,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
He's like,
you are just some guys I hang out with.
it's just proximity. Like I don't know what to tell you.
Well, that'll become very apparent in my part. So this next episode is called Transportation. And it's exactly what it sounds.
fantastic one.
It's such a good episode. All right. So how do I do this? Okay. So basically in the beginning, we always get the same intro for the most part. And in this intro, Yellow Guy says his initial part that we normally see, but then it gets like really weird, and he goes into this like deep off kilter tangent, and he says a bunch of really weird things. I'm not gonna go over the things he says right now because it's literally a foreshadow for the next episode.
Yeah.
So I'll let Matt explain the next episode, and I'll chime in when necessary. So anyways, we start off in the kitchen with everyone sitting around, and basically Red Guy is kind of visibly getting annoyed with what's happening because Duck Guy is taking a visual inventory, is what he's calling it, and he's like looking at the floor and going like, 1 white tile, 1 black tile, and he's like doing it all slow and shit, and he's like, it's a floor, just call it the floor, it's 1 floor, and like Red Guy is just on 1 in this episode. So basically he's just like fed up, and he's like, I want to go somewhere. So he like walks into the living room, and as soon as he enters the room, Yellow Guy and Duck Guy are just already in there sitting on the couch. And he's like, son of a bitch. So they're standing around, they're kind of like, they're like arguing with each other, and basically like Red Guy doesn't want to just wait around for someone to come and start doing the normal like song and dance with them. And of course, we get the normal song and dance with a train guy that enters the room, and he's gonna start teaching them about transportation. And he is just like old as fuck. Like he can't hear for shit, and he keeps telling Red. This one part cracks me up actually. He's like, "You got talking to my good ear," and he's like, "I don't even see ears. What's your good ear?" He's like, "I don't know nothing about that." And then he like picks up this cane and just like whips it like right at Red Guy's face. And like you can like, I don't know if this is like supposed to have happened that way, but like you can like visually see Red Guy go like, oh fuck, like it straight up like hits him in the face.
I know this is a little off topic. This reminds me of the scene from the original Alien when the chest burster comes out, and like I learned that no one except for Kane, the guy who plays Kane, knew what was about to happen. I kind of feel like that's what happened.
Just an actual visual reaction. That's amazing.
Just didn't tell him they were gonna whip a cane at him. Like, nope.
Well, this next part is kind of a reverse.
I like that
burster.
idea that they just take these people and put them in costumes and just throw them in a set, and they're just like, some shit's gonna happen. Just you're
react.
The sarcastic one. You're a dickhead, and you're mentally handicapped. Just go with it.
Figure it out on the way.
What a dynamic.
All right, where was I?
Doug.
So yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, so basically this train guy starts doing the classic thing with them and starts a song up about transportation. And he's like, basically it goes into like a cartoon fashion song and like animation, but they're like inside of him as like he turns from a train to a car, and then it turns like into a wheel and then a horse and then a covered wagon, and he like keeps morphing through like all these things. And like as he keeps morphing into these things, you can see that he's like kind of dying, like just straight up dying. And like I didn't mention this, but in the first part before they go into the song, he like drinks this like, he calls it his cup of warm juice, and he like drinks this black sludge, and then like he like pops like a handful of pills. He's like, I get dizzy. But yeah, you can tell this dude is like not good.
To be fair, so the stuff looked similar to the stuff in bottles from the Jobs episode when they were all getting lunch. That was I'm sorry, it was not just lasagna and cigarettes they were eating. They were also drinking bottles of black sludge.
Yeah.
Great.
It's pretty good stuff. So yeah, he's going through all these different, he's like, doing his song, and he's talking about all these different machines, but he keeps morphing, and like he gets to a point where he's like he turns into a submarine, and then he switches from a submarine into a tank, a scooter, and then a fucking airport bus, and then back into a car, and then he just straight up like dies. Like they're just inside of him and he dies, and then it cuts back to the house, and they're all sitting inside of this dead teacher car in the house, and Red Guy's like, you know what, like we can just fucking drive anywhere, like I just gotta figure out how first. And he like puts all these tapes in. It's like lesson 1. But yeah, so they end up driving, even though Yellow Guy and Duck Guy are really not like wanting to do this at all. But Red Guy's like, we need to get the fuck out of here. Like I do not want to be here anymore. Yeah, so they're driving, and then all of a sudden the GPS comes to life, and it's like, hey, where you want to go? Except it's very much a fucking Irish accent.
Yep.
But yeah, so the GPS is like very visually trying to get them to go back home, but Red Guy's like pretty insistent, and she's like, well, where do you want to go? And he's like, what about here? And it says Clay Hill.
Yep.
And she's like, oh, that place doesn't exist anymore. And he's like, oh, what happened to it? And she's like, oh, it just shriveled up and disappeared.
Goodbye.
Which is a kind of funny callback to the pilot episode.
Yep.
So they're driving, and then there's a small flashback that this part had me fucking dying. I don't know why this was so funny to me.
Okay, yeah.
But
I know
there's this
what
like flashback of their house without them in it, and there's just like a robot wizard fucking like dancing in the house, and he's like, time trial. And he's like, drink this space alcohol and come to the 6th dimension. And then the fucking clock on the wall is like, hey, they're not here. And he's just like, damn.
What was his name? Tony?
I don't even fucking know, but it was so fucking fun. I was literally losing my shit at that part. But then yeah, it fucking jumps back to them in the car, and Duck Guy is like enjoying his side of the car. He's got like fucking Netflix and like all this shit. It's not Netflix, but he's got like a TV, and he's got raisins, and he's got a shield, like a curtain. And Yellow Guy's trying to do all the same shit, but when he opens up his thing, it's like a barf bag, and his raisins are like cigarette butts, and he doesn't have a fucking window shield, and he's just like having a bad time. So Red Guy's like, all right, well, we're going to this place. We're going to have a community, and it's going to be great. We're going to have neighbors. And Yellow Guy kind of gets on board. He's like, oh, wow. He's like, fucking neighbors? Like, that's kind of cool. Like, I want neighbors. And then we get this little daydream from Yellow Guy about this new place they're going. And we end up seeing him kind of enjoying himself. He's outside. He's talking to, Red Guy, who's his neighbor. And then he's seeing these other neighbors in these other houses. And then one of the neighbors brings him a gift, which he opens up. And in the box is a baby pigeon. And then like the baby pigeon basically like flies out of the box, and Yellow Guy runs into the road, and he just gets fucking murdered by a car. Now, I should mention, it is the car they are currently in.
Yep.
And we know this because the license plate on the front of the car they're in says Leslie on it, and the car in his dream or flashback says Leslie as well. So we know it's the same car. So he snaps out of it, and then all of a sudden the car starts like coming back to life, and it's like he's like basically like, yo, I'm fucking dying here, like help me out. And they start like shoving fucking raisins into his mouth because his face is the steering wheel, and he's like choking to death basically. And the car ends up like dying again, and all of a sudden like reality just fucking like breaks. And their like normal outside scenery that you have been seeing like go past the whole time is like glitched out, and it like turns into this like dystopian like junkyard scene essentially. And it's always funny because Red Guy's always the one that fucking breaks reality in these shows.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But yeah, so we cut to them all sitting around this junkyard, and they're just sitting there and waiting for something to happen. And fucking Duck Guy decides he's gonna start taking an inventory, and he's like, one skull, one bag of meat, one horrible figure.
Make sure
and
we
like,
have the essentials.
He's like basically just like taking inventory of what they can currently see. And Yellow Guy's like all fucked in the head right now because he's like, what the fuck is going on? And then we get this faint woman talking. And then we get a clip of the toy house that's in the intro of each episode. And you hear this woman say, the journey always ends up back at home. And that's where we end that episode.
That is a...
That was something.
That episode was one of my favorites, I think.
Oh, yeah. 100%. It was just batshit insane is what it was.
It's really funny, too. It's actually like really, really funny. So
Yeah.
I highly recommend watching
They didn't want to have me dying.
We've already talked about this, but I think that the TV series, like the web series is okay, in my opinion, honestly, but the TV series kicks it up a notch. It has all of the like wacky, crazy shit from the web series, but it adds a significant amount of humor that like I actually laughed out loud.
Especially dark humor.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that style of dark humor. So I think I found my preferred style of comedy with this, which is dark humor mixed like this
For the
reminds
kids
me
show.
this reminds me if Monty Python and Clive Barker wrote Sesame Street. Like that's what this
Yeah.
reminds me of, and that's like that is my brand of humor. Dark,
It's-
dry, and horrible.
Well, not only that, but the points where they're just like this thing, and then like they pace it such that you expect an explanation, and they just move on.
Yeah. Oh
Right.
God. Yeah.
Like, those are the parts where I.
And
laugh.
it literally starts with the fucking first episode in the web series with the creativity when she says, "I use my hair to express myself." That doesn't make any sense. Like I use my hair to express myself. Like
Yeah,
that's
I
the
think
whole
that-
tone.
I laugh at those, but I think they're amplified in the TV show because there's so much more buildup.
Oh yeah.
Like in the TV show, it's happening, or in the web series, it's happening so fast that you're just like, okay, and it's like that. That's kind of funny. But in the TV show, they literally will spend like 5 to 7 minutes building up a joke, and then just been like, and move on.
And literally in 4 seconds, the entire 10-minute scene they spent world building is just gone. Just gone. It doesn't matter anymore.
But you know
Ugh.
what? A lot of the things that Doug mentioned need to power it.
Gasoline.
Well, gasoline
Friendship.
can be used to create this.
Is it love?
Is it rubber?
I think rubber can also be used. Electricity. Electricity.
You're not going to win if you play this game with
Yeah.
us. It's
So-
everyone loses.
So the next and last episode in the TV series is all about electricity. So we go in, and this one doesn't have like the normal like intro sequence that you would get used to watching the rest of the TV series. This one just starts with a music box, and it's cranking up, and we see that for a little bit, and then it cuts to Duck Guy. And Duck Guy's sitting at the kitchen table that we've seen many times before, and he's doing a crossword puzzle. And like he's asking Red Guy and Yellow Guy if they can help him solve this crossword puzzle. And Yellow Guy opens his mouth and just says the most incomprehensible, just stupid shit. Like he literally just strings some words together. And Red Guy's just like, what? And yeah,
I feel like that's
and
you guys whenever I try to make like a smart point. Like you're just like, you make no sense right now.
it's just this whole podcast, really. But Duck Guy has like written shit down as Red Guy and Yellow Guy are talking, and he's like, now my crossword is ruined. So he decides that he needs to shred his crossword puzzle. So he gets out his paper shredder, and and he's like, hey, has anybody else got anything that we should shred? And Red Guy's like, oh, I've got this electricity bill. We don't need this. And Duck Guy's like, yeah, electricity is bullshit. Nobody needs electricity. Fuck that. Let's shred that shit too. And so their electrical box that's just in their kitchen for some reason comes to life, and like a robot busts out of the electricity box and starts talking to them. And it's like, I'm going to in tried and true fashion, I'm going to educate you about electricity. And so the fucking electricity box robot's like, look at all this shit that you've got. You don't even know what fucking operates this stuff. You don't know what keeps the TV on. You don't know how electricity works. And apparently Red Guy and Duck Guy and Yellow Guy all thought that it was like some sort of magic. And Duck Guy's like, I thought it was just like some like product of nature. And so the robot starts listing things that are powered by electricity. And then at some point towards the end of this sequence, they rip like their pet mouse in half. And the robot's like, well, it's got cords inside of it, which are actually its intestines. It's like, maybe it is powered by electricity. And so then they start listing things that are definitely not electric. One includes a chair that Yellow Guy's sitting on, and they're like, let's make this an electric chair. And then
No.
Yellow Guy just gets fucking fried. And so then out of nowhere, Duck Guy's like, but what about my shredder? and he starts singing a song about his shredder that goes on for like way too long. It's like an 80s like goth like sort of synthwave song that he just sings about his shredder. And then now we need to talk about how our brains all know about electricity. So then all of a sudden the robot is like, yo, I run on batteries. And yellow guy is like, hey, I also run on batteries. And he rips his fucking chest open, and there's just like 2 AA batteries in his chest, and they're corroded as shit, and they look like they've been in there for God knows how long. So Duck Guy grabs the robot's chest and rips the batteries out of the robot and shoves them into Yellow Guy's chest. And all of a sudden, Yellow Guy just like comes to life. It's at this moment that we discover that the reason that Yellow Guy is so stupid is because he's been operating on these 2 AA batteries that have been in his chest the entire time he's alive. And all of a sudden, he just gets super fucking smart. And so he like picks up Duck Guy's crossword and he just tears through the whole fucking thing. And he was like, well, while I was doing this, I got bored, so I did some theoretical physics. And like he hands that over to him. Red Guy's like, whoa, bro, you need to fucking chill. And then all of a sudden, Yellow Guy's like, hey, we keep breaking stuff around here. We need some insurance. And then a safe shows up, and it's got like money busting out of it and shit. And it's like tries to start singing about insurance. And Yellow Guy's like, no, you're fucking wrong. That's not how insurance works at all. And then like Yellow Guy starts getting super introspective about shit. And he's like, what if all of this is bullshit? And he like walks up to a mirror and he's talking to like his previous stupid self. And he's like, they don't control us. They've been trying to boss us around forever. And like his previous stupid Yellow Guy's like, nah, they don't, maybe they never did control us. So Yellow Guy walks off and he's like, all right, guess I'll see you later. And he starts walking up these fucking stairs that like just lead into some blackness.
Let me pause you here just because this connects the dot with the last episode. So in the beginning of the last episode, I mentioned Yellow Guy goes on this really weird tangent in the very like the opening sequence. Literally all the things he says in that is what's about to happen right here.
Yep.
So Yellow Guy's walking up this fucking staircase, and he gets to the top of the staircase, and there's a room, and it's labeled the Big Boy Room. So he opens it, and inside there's like this super big version of Red Guy and Duck Guy, and they've got like these long-ass lanky arms and shit, and they're surrounded by chalkboards that have like equations and shit scribbled on them, and he starts talking to him, and they're obviously like way smarter than their normal selves are, but he pretty quickly realizes that it's just like back to their normal fucking routine. So like shit starts showing up and talking. There's like this cancel sign that starts talking about boundaries, and then like a rock shows up and starts talking about sediment and shit. And he's just like, fuck, this is the same shit that I just came from. And they're like, no, bro, you don't get it. This is like this is way super smart. And he's just like, no, fuck you guys. And like to me, this actually sticks out as one of the like hardest hitting parts of the entire series. Like it's like to me, it's obviously about like pseudo intellectualism and like how a lot of people will just like do anything they can to make themselves seem smarter than like your average person, but it's really just like your average bullshit. It's like polished up to make themselves look smart. I actually really like this scene. But anyway, he's like, no, fuck you guys. I'm bouncing. So he walks out and he starts heading up another staircase, and he gets to the top of that staircase, and it says even bigger boys room. So he walks in, and there's like some fucking futuristic version of Duck Guy and Red Guy. And Duck Guy's a robot, and Red Guy has like this floating fucking like gem thing for a head. And they say that they're going to do an experiment. And they've got this awful creature that they're just electrocuting the shit out of. And Yellow Guy's like, what the fuck is that? And they're like, we're experimenting on it. And he's like, what is that, like a hamster or something? And they're like, we don't even know what the fuck it is anymore. We've done so many experiments on this thing, we can't even identify what animal it is anymore. And he's like, can you stop? That's awful. And they're like, no, we've got experiments to do. And he's like, I think I'm done here. So he leaves that room. And he goes up a third staircase. And he gets to the top of that one. and there's a woman playing piano, and we find out that her name is Leslie. And she says, "It's nice to meet you. You're one of my favorites." And like,
Yep.
and in this room, like around the room, there's like different objects and stuff from this episode and like moments and scenes in the episode. And she has like this like little version of the house set up. And it kind of looks like maybe she's been like a puppet master kind of person this whole time. She even goes as far as to like, Yellow Guy accidentally knocks over a version of Duck Guy, and she's like, "Oh, it's okay. I always keep extras." And she like pulls out a drawer and yanks another Duck Guy out and sticks him on the model. And so
Jesus.
while this shit's going on, we flash back to Duck Guy and Red Guy, and the power in the house has completely gone off. And so they're wandering around the house. And as they're going, they like lose track of where they are, and they're like, "Where the fuck even are we?" And it's like the same black and white checkered board from the end of the web series, and they start passing like characters that they've met throughout the series. Like the briefcase is on the floor, and he's like fucking dying. They see the clock, and then the fucking T-bone steak like runs out of the darkness, but he's like missing an eye, and he's like carrying a knife, and he's like ah, and like runs past him. It's just like where all the characters from this series have gone to just like into purgatory.
That's the best way to put it.
Anyway, we flash back to Yellow Guy and Leslie, and she shows him the model of the house. And like I said, basically it seems like she's maybe been like some sort of puppet master or something, and like playing with all the models and stuff and like orchestrating the episodes. And so she hands Yellow Guy a book, and it's a leather book, and it's got all sorts of runic symbols and shit on it. It kind of looks the same as the runic symbols from the family that they got transported to in like a previous episode.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
so-
From the fucking deranged
Yeah.
twins.
And she's like, "You've got a lot of shit you need to learn." And Yellow Guy's like, "Whoa, this is fucking crazy." And she's like, "You need to go back to your friends now, and you need to teach them." And he's like, "All right." And so he heads back down to his friends. And because the lights have been off for so long, Duck Guy's like, "We got to figure out a way to turn the fucking electronics and the lights back on. I don't know how to live without all this shit." So he's like, "Wait, I've got an idea." And so he reaches into Yellow Guy's chest and yanks out the batteries. And he's like, "Hey, good batteries," and shoves them back into the electrical box. And then like basically re-swaps the batteries from earlier. And
Oh, good.
the lights come on, but now Yellow Guy's stupid again. And they're like, "Hey, what's that book? Like, what were you going to tell us? What's that book for?" And Yellow Guy's just like, "I don't know. I'm going to shred it." And he shoves it in the fucking shredder from the beginning of the episode. And that's it. That's where it ends.
Real quick, I don't know if you mentioned this,
Just
and
pointless as
if you
fuck.
did, just tell me to shut the fuck up. But
Shut up.
Oh.
all right, you can't do any. You literally can't do anything when someone tells you shut up. So.
No, you have to do that.
But so remember when he first gets the batteries in and he like writes that like new language on the fucking
yeah,
paper.
Right, yeah.
That same language is what's
the
on the book.
runes.
Yeah.
Y-
Just
the-
in case that wasn't said, I don't
Yeah.
know. That was something I noticed. And I was like,
Well, it's obvious that like this whole thing has been, he's like prophetic.
yeah,
It's
Yeah.
been orchestrated in some
Yep.
way from the beginning, because his entire journey up the staircase is illustrated and stuff. And obviously his dad is playing some part in controlling the strings or pulling the strings that operate this fucked up universe.
right.
Yeah. Actually, that's actually something that we didn't really touch on too much last time, and I wouldn't mind at least for like 30 seconds touching on it, just Roy's role in this whole thing.
Well, okay, so we can touch on Roy's role, but we actually have a like a true to form what happened from the creators. Do you want me to go over that
I
real
want to
quick
give
or
theories first.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do theories
Yeah, why
first.
don't you guys do that?
Here, let's
and-
do theories. Doug, then you can take over the confirmation, and then we should probably jump over to Mike at some point, right?
Yeah, we'll go to him in the weather room.
Yeah. If you guys notice, he's not here anymore.
Yeah, but
If you're
he is
watching
with
on
us
YouTube.
from afar.
Yeah, we'll he'll be back. Don't worry.
We'll jump to Mike later.
Yeah. But yeah, if you want to go ahead and go over just a little bit about like what the fuck, go for it. Was that you?
We
that
were
was
doing
gonna...
theories first.
Yeah, theories
Oh
first.
yeah. Sorry, we just fucking said that. God, sorry.
Yeah.
guys.
You just fucking said that.
I've had a fucking day. My brain is fried today. I'm so sorry. Yeah, let's do theories. Who wants to start?
I'm gonna go over. Nope, you. Yep, you go.
Oh no! I opened my mouth.
Hey, we should go over theories. Oh shit, there's not a spot in the outline for theories, and no one did that.
I mean, I have a loose theory.
Yeah. So
Is
I
it
mean,
right? Probably not, but
there are obviously some themes that like permeate the entire series of like TV shows and the web series and stuff. And we touched on this a little bit last time. Like everybody plays a part. Like Red Guy is obviously, I think that Red Guy and Yellow Guy and Duck Guy are some friends, but they have like an age gap between them. Like, so maybe they grew up in the same neighborhood and they're friends because they hung out because they were in the same place. But like, like I said, there's an age gap. So like, Red Guy kind of seems like he's the eldest of the crew.
oh yeah,
And so
So he's older than
like-
38.
yeah. Well,
sure.
depending on the episode,
Well, yellow
38
guy
or
is
88.
38.
But in one
Oh, okay.
episode, he's 88.
Well,
That
I think
is
there are
true.
things that don't really mean anything. But
Yeah, you're right.
he's like, he's the eldest of the crew. And so like, he's like the oldest friend that like you had in your neighborhood who is like, I'm a little bit too old for this like childish bullshit, but also like I don't have any friends my own age, so I just like kind of hang out with these fuckheads. And so like he's not about the antics that Yellow
Yeah.
Guy and
Mm-mm.
Duck Guy are into. And then Duck Guy is slightly older than Yellow Guy, so like he takes every chance that he can get to like pick on Yellow Guy and be like, hey, I'm older than you are at least. And
Actually, before you go further into this, I want to touch on Red Guy for just a second. In the family episode, doesn't Red Guy actually like I say meet very loosely, but like he meets his like family.
Well, that
Right.
that was one thing that I was curious
And-
about because in the web series we see that there's a whole race of
Yeah.
red guys,
Well,
and so that kind of begs the question of
did you
like,
watch the family one?
Yeah,
So you saw the part where he meets his like actual family and they tell him to go fuck himself because he's way too expressive. Like he's like, you're too interesting. Fuck off. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. It's yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't see the red people as actually the race of red people. I saw them as like boring, like white middle class, like white collar clone people.
Yep.
Like they're all the same because they're like they all went to college and they got undergrad degrees and they all work in an office and they're all like fucking basically Office Space characters. And
Yeah.
so they're not
Yeah.
all the same person because they're all the same race. They're just like cut from the same like cloth basically.
Right.
And so Red Guy is slightly different from them. So they reject him because he's creative and he doesn't really want to fit in. Like he doesn't really want to conform. So
Yeah, he expresses too much in like one of the episodes. I'm pretty sure, was it Jobs or was it the? I know I see this cat. It was either Jobs or Friendship. I can't remember, but like Red Guy. Oh no, it was the intro song. We didn't touch on this. The intro song is just slightly different in every episode.
right.
So like in one of the ones that I had, I can't remember if it was Jobs or Friendship, but Red Guy, when they're singing the song, like everyone's talking pretty normally, and then Red Guy goes, and then you realize we live in a fucking nightmare, and
Oh,
he
yeah.
like freaks out about it.
It's friendship. It's the
It's friendship? Okay,
because
yeah.
it's later on
Yeah.
in the series.
He
Yeah.
literally is like, like they're doing the like
nightmare.
Yeah, they're doing like the fucking. There's three of us, and he's like, and he all of a sudden just goes, and we live in a fucking nightmare. And that's the only time I ever heard him scream like that.
Yeah. He screams another time because I thought it was fucking hilarious.
I think that was that in Death?
No, I think it was in Friendship as well because he's screaming at the end of it as
That
well.
tracks because
Yeah, because they're all fighting.
yeah.
And,
And the intro usually like reflects what the episode's gonna have in it, at least with tone.
Oh yeah.
Like it's almost the same thing every time, but it reflects the tone. Every episode is a little bit different and reflects the tone of the episode. And yeah, Friendship, he was screaming his fucking head off.
Yeah, good shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the Office thing from the web series is basically Red Guy growing up and like moving on from his friends and stuff, but then he kind of realizes that like that's not really for him and he doesn't really want that life, even though that's like what his people are supposed to do. So that's my theory with Red Guy. Yellow Guy and his dad is another thing where I feel like Yellow Guy is like he's obviously an idiot and he doesn't really fit into society and he can't really figure out why that is, but he's just hanging out because he's there. And his dad, I think, his dad also doesn't fit into society for maybe multiple reasons. Like I don't know what's wrong with him. Maybe he is like on drugs or something, but he's doing his best. He's trying to do his best to be a dad, even though he's going about it the wrong way a lot of the time and like being overbearing on his son. And so he's like this monstrous, like overbearing parent who like is way too controlling of his son's life and ends up fucking things up because he's too controlling. But
All right.
I don't know.
I can see that.
I think even though Roy is like presented as the antagonist of the series,
Oh, yeah.
I feel like he's doing those things because he's doing his best the way that he knows how to. Like the people that he eats,
Yeah.
that like when his son gets kidnapped by the freaky people,
Yep.
it's like it's him showing up to protect his son, even though he's doing it the
Even
wrong
though he's
way.
being a cannibal.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there are also other, like we also went over in the last episode, like each episode has correlations to like things in real life, like art school, like Mike talked about, or like basically how the powers that be or whatever try to teach you things, but they don't really go about it in the right way. Like I think a lot of the things, like the teachers and stuff that show up, are basically representing flawed teachers. Like we all had high school teachers or like people that were like authoritative figures or people that tried to teach us stuff as we were growing up that like were trying to do their best, but what they were teaching us was inherently flawed because they didn't really know, but they were trying.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of like the root of this whole thing to me, is like watching these people, like they're super fucked up. Nothing makes any fucking sense, but everybody's just trying, and they're trying with what they've got, and it's a fucking disaster.
Yeah,
But-
nothing goes right with that at all.
Right. But anyway, that's how I see it.
That's not a bad take.
What do you got?
What do I got?
Because I'm gonna end with
Okay.
what is.
That's fair. That's fair. You do know. So my take is a little bit different, and I'm actually going to continue my presumptions from our last episode. I'm still very much convinced that Yellow Guy is the only one that actually exists. I think, and this is going to get a little dark, and I apologize for that, but in my brain, it makes sense. So I think Yellow Guy is the victim of like emotional and like physical, maybe not physical. Yeah, definitely physical abuse, emotional and physical abuse. My thoughts are that this whole thing from the start of the web series all the way through the end of the TV series is basically illustrating that Yellow Guy has had a very abusive upbringing and his dad is the culprit. And instead of dealing with that, he's invented these two best friends that are always around and always there to make him feel better when he's feeling bad. And so, like, that's a reason that we see Roy in every single episode in the web series. He's always attached to it. That's why we see Roy reaching out at the very end of the web series to grab Red Guy's arm when he's in that control room. I think that control room was like a literal control room where Roy, or Yellow Guy's dad, essentially made these things happen because as we saw, Red Guy was pushing buttons in there. and it kept changing like the character that was there. So it went through like the lamp turned into like Tony the Clock, and then it went to like this other character, and then there was the butterfly. Like it just kept going through them. So I feel like this is Yellow Guy's outlet for expressing his history of abuse with his dad and the world he made up in his head, where Duck Guy and Red Guy are his best friends, even though they don't exist. Which is why every time in every episode, whenever Yellow Guy tries to like clarify a point, whoever is teaching them the subject is like, nope, go fuck yourself. That's not right. You're wrong. And that's just like that's basically an extension of like the abuse, more or less. Like he's not confident, so like he tries something and he's wrong over and over and over again, and that's all because this abuse has turned him into a very, very, very inconfident individual. So we need to make up these imaginary friends, Duck Guy and Red Guy, who are always with him, can always support him, always tell him everything that's okay. And that's also why all the bad things that we see happen usually happen to Duck Guy and Red Guy. There's a couple instances where it happens to Yellow Guy, but we find out that that's not fucking real. The only time
offloading his trauma. Basically.
Exactly, yeah, onto these imaginary friends that exist in his brain. That's what that's what I think is happening here.
That's way darker than what I said.
I know. I'm sorry. That's just my mind, man.
I like both of y'all's theories, and now I will say, for like up front, Mike was the one that knows the actual full meaning
and he
of
left.
everything, and he left. I, however, was able to do a little bit of research today about it. I don't know the actual full meaning, but here's what I gathered from a couple different sources. So there's a whole hell of a lot going on in this series.
Oh yeah,
but I think the main takeaway, like TLDR, is so one of the major things we need to think about is Leslie.
Yes.
Leslie is the woman that Yellow Guy meets in the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a few core things that happen in that last scene that basically solidify a few points that I'm going to make. So, first and foremost, Yellow Guy is David.
Yep.
That is who that is. We see a D on his chest. Like he has the letter D on his chest. We see David in the death episode. We see that tombstone. We see Duck Guy going into it, and he's like, "That's not me."
Yep,
like, you
that's
know
not
what
me.
I'm saying? We get all these like weird little hints about it, even in the web series that we didn't even really know we were getting. But this last episode really, really solidified a couple things. This whole thing is being puppeteered by Leslie. It's her dollhouse. It's her imagination. It's her way of coping with the loss of her son, who was hit by a car.
David.
Who is David.
Jesus.
So basically, Yellow Guy is David. And there's a crucial part, Matt, in your episode where Yellow Guy is talking to her and she goes, "You're not my son!" And then, or "You're not my real son!" And then she's like, "I'm just kidding." Like, brushes it off kind of thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, she's like, "You help me, I'll help you. I always have spares, this and that." When he like puts Duck Guy in the house and his head falls off, she's got all these spares. And essentially, kind of what you were saying is that, Red Guy and Duck Guy are part of his imagination. I think it's just a coping mechanism for Leslie to be able to play out these scenes of, I guess, her way of coping with the loss of her child.
Son. Jesus, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, and
like, why are these terrible things happening? Like, why is she teaching her son all these awful lessons? Is it because she's having a mental breakdown as she's?
Well, her son's not alive, right?
Well, that's the thing. So there's one other major point that I want to get to, but first and foremost, when you see Leslie, she's got all these like stitches on her face.
Right.
Now we know that she's the puppet master of the like Red Guy, Yellow Guy, and Duck Guy.
Right.
But there's a couple core things that happen. We see Yellow Guy walking up the stairs, and we see the pictures of him doing the things that, Matt, you said were like predetermined, right?
Right.
But the very, very last thing that we see before we cut back to Yellow Guy going into the house and like resetting everything is that in the dollhouse, the very top floor
Holy shit.
is is the room that he's currently in, right?
Right. Yeah.
But when the camera pans over before it cuts back to the house, we get that shot of another staircase leading even higher up.
Oh, okay.
Where does that lead to? Who's controlling Leslie? Who's, there might be a bigger mastermind behind the whole series.
This is like Turtles all the way down. But
Turtles all the way down.
Leslie's.
Yeah.
So it's actually a person who lost their wife who is orchestrating Leslie, who
lost
could
their
be Roy.
son,
It could be Roy up
who's
there.
orchestrating Yellow Guy, Duck Guy, and Red Guy.
That's the whole
I think
thing. Maybe
Roy's too stupid.
Yeah, I think Roy's too stupid too. But I mean,
look at how they portray him.
I mean, he looks
Oh
like
my
a Neanderthal.
God! Look at how they portray him. Yeah, he's not the fucking mastermind here at all. It's Leslie, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, Leslie is literally the puppet master of the puppets that
Yeah,
we're watching,
and that's why they made. That's fucking hell. That's why she made Roy look so fucking stupid, because she probably blames a lot of the things that happened to her son on her ex-husband.
probably. Yeah, I mean, there's unless
alcohol.
someone,
Yeah.
unless someone has a full explanation of what's happening, we're just kind of theorizing here because we don't actually.
Well, they
know
didn't.
that
They didn't confirm or deny, right? Like they gave loose.
There was like an interview, but I don't
who
know.
could tell us more about the creators.
Yeah, didn't we have
Wouldn't
someone here that
Wait,
had
wait,
like a bunch of
wait, hold
knowledge
up.
about that?
Hold up, you guys hear that?
I hear like a staticky, annoying noise. Oh, that's a voice.
And now we're gonna break over to Mike, who's gonna tell us exactly what's going on with the creators of this web series. Mike, what do you got for us today?
So you got the two of them. You got the Joseph Pelling and the Becky Sloan. They're two people. They met in college. They're like, we're gonna make a thing called This Is It. And there was a bunch of them. The people in this group, they made a thing called Anything Can Go Bad, and it did. And then they're like, we got the budget for like one more thing, and then we're done. And they did it. It was called Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. And everything else did it before was like shit. And then Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared was like, just doing numbers, dog. It made like a bajillion views on the internet, and everyone went fucking nuts. And here we are. That's them. And Joseph is the voice of Red Guy, and Becky is Sketchbook. Back to you, Weatherman.
Wow, that's riveting stuff, Mike. And now, back to the studio.
Oh my gosh!
Actually, I'm super happy we talked to Mike. Now that I hear that, because I wouldn't have put most of that together. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think Matt should
I was
tell
talking
us
to the
about
audience. They didn't answer. Go ahead, Doug.
what happened to the audience.
Oh my God. I keep forgetting that we have one of those, like a live audience.
It's been a
You
while.
left them in Mike's basement.
We left it in Mike's basement. I wonder if they're going to talk
Christ.
to his daughter at all. Questions for later.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyways, Matt, where can you find us?
Yeah.
Man, you know what? You can go to DLUTI.com and you can look at the website that I worked a whole weekend on. And you can see lots of information about us that you could have found anywhere else on the internet. But also there, you could find links to our social media pages.
Yeah.
You could find links to our YouTube channel where you can get video versions of our episodes. You can find links to our Twitter page where me and Mike spout random shit at you a lot. Or you can find our TikToks where everybody makes TikTok exclusive content sometimes that we haven't done in a little while, but it'll happen.
In a long time.
We used
And
to
there is
make
stuff there. There is stuff there. Hey, and you can go to our Discord where you can check out the community surrounding the podcast. Lots of weird people there. Lots of weird, cool people. Lots of cool, weird people. Or you can go to our Patreon at patreon.com/DelutiPod, and you can chuck in something, or you can go fuck yourself. And
Those
if you
are the
do
options.
decide to chuck in $10 there, you can come back to our Discord that I already mentioned, and you can tune in every Tuesday night at something o'clock. Where
usually
we-
it's
anywhere from 6 to 8 to 12 o'clock.
It's
Yeah.
usually around 6:30. At this point in time, it might change if Mike is going to
It'll
be...
probably change next week.
Yeah, probably.
And you can witness our recordings live, and you can also get lots of extra bonus content. And
Hell yeah.
you know what? I think that about covers it. Jason, what do you want to say to the people?
If there is ever a time to remain paranoid, it is when you are at home in your kitchen surrounded by a red fuzzy octopus and a duck. If you see that scene, close your eyes and hope to hell you are dreaming. But I don't know. Otherwise, there are a lot of good lessons here. Take them to heart. Just don't, chop your friends up into bits and eat them, or any of the things that you find in these videos. Just don't follow suit, honestly. Matt, what do you have to say?
I have to say, if you go to our Spotify, there's a Q&A thing where you can leave us a comment, and you can do that, and it's fun. We do read all those. I do want to say to the one guy who has left comments on multiple episodes about complaining about how much we say I just want to say, you do know you don't have to listen to the podcast, right? If somebody's holding you at gunpoint, making you listen, maybe you should leave that as a comment instead, and we'll try to get you help. But
all I'm taking from that is that this guy loves the idea of this podcast, but it just cannot handle those thinking noises, and that's fine. That's okay.
But like I said, you don't have to listen.
You don't have
to. There's lots of other podcasts out there.
We
we are children. If you tell us you don't like something, we're gonna do it 10 times harder. I want you to know that.
we write very, very minimal notes on these things and try to talk about it like we're just sitting around telling each other about these things. So like, if you don't want to hear us say I will the shit out of your mother.
The next episode is just gonna be called and that's all you get. Yeah, just that.
Doug, what do you got?
Oh man, I will say I really enjoyed this series way more than I thought I would, because I never really got into this series when I was younger. Like, I knew about Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, but I never like got into it like other people did. Anyways, yeah, so I don't know. I just thought it was really good. I was pretty pleased with how this turned out. I was pretty pleased watching all of it. I think it was great. And if you ever find a puppet, flick its bean against your peen.
I don't know if that's worse or better. I can't tell.
Make velvety muppety bean peen noises and fax it to us. And
Doug just wants to see Muppet Goatsy. Just show him that.
Yeah. Anyways, we out of here, bitches.
We fucking love you guys. Thank you so much for putting up with this enormous episode, apparently, because I'm just now looking at the time.
Your skin does not belong to you. Welcome back to Inner Night. We apologize for disappearing for a while. A member of one of the groups who recently joined us is still being dealt with, and punishments will eventually be laid out. In the meantime, we will try to keep you all updated and attempt to share our usual messages. For this week, repeat after me. I choose to focus on what I can control. I trust my intuition and follow my inner voice. The present moment is all that truly matters. I am grateful for my blessings, both big and small. Our recommendations for this week are to find music related to space and astral magic, and put them all into a playlist to listen to while working out or doing menial tasks. We also recommend visiting family while you still can. You never know when a deranged individual will attack people out of nowhere. This concludes this week's message from Inner Night. Don't forget to leave a message for another member and spread the love. Good night.